Earth Debate, Uncut and After Show. I'm your host Nathan Oakley, and if you are new to this channel, or you've not done so already, then be sure to subscribe, hit the bell notification icon and join button if you'd like to become a Nathan Oakley 1980 channel member and keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. If you would like to support the channel, there is a super chat that runs alongside each of these shows while they premiere, and there's also a Ko-Fi, Patreon, crypto and thanks button in the info box below the video. Speaking of Patreons, I'm going to do a quick shout out to all of you who do support me on Patreon. So, a massive shout of thanks and appreciation to Cannabear, Gary Hughes, Measured Flat, Chris Wouters, Mr. Amish, Sensual Goat, Mitch Kennedy, Rod, The Name's Burley, Todd Wazzle, Jason Hornsby, Flat Earth Travolta, JMails24, Unimento, M, Iron26, Endless, Goldie McKinnon, Retro Bill, Level Plane Poem, Michael Kahn, John Kays, Patrick Gunnels, Banter, Mel B. Styles, Hairy Blade, Mobile Mac 777, Rob W, Del West Watson, Unbelievable Productions, Blue Ridge Ranger, Abraham Mohammed, Skeptic 936, Life is Short, Texas Mike, David Wayne Foster, and Dank. So another huge, massive thank you to all of you for supporting me on Patreon. Now I will hand over to whoever is in Discord and Google so you can enjoy their dulcet tones while I set up for today's live show. Actually, what I might do before that is just tell you what I've just had to deal with, because I've set up a little bit later than I would normally. And the reason is, let's go to my Skype button, because of this. So, in my setting up today, I noticed that there was an update for my GPU drivers. So I was like, fine, I'll download those drivers and update them, which I did. And then after downloading them, I did a restart, turned on a game, just to test that everything was okay, put it under load, and it immediately did this. I'll play it. I'll see, hopefully I've got audio. Just installed the latest NVIDIA drivers, and I booted up this game. Pretty much the only game I play. And I wasn't really paying attention to what was going on. It just loaded, and then the computer completely crapped the bed and crashed, turned the computer off, which is definitely not something that's ever happened before. I had the game had an update, and I played it once, noticed it was a bit stuttery, and I thought I'll check for driver updates, which there was one. The first time I did the update, it failed. So the second time I did it as a clean installation. If you do custom install in NVIDIA, it'll allow you to just do a completely clean install. And when I did, GeForce Experience crashed, so it sort of restarts the machine during the update, and then when it came back up, NVIDIA GeForce Experience was there but wasn't responding. So I closed it, went back into NVIDIA drivers, and it seemed to suggest that there was there you go, it's just crapped the bed, turned itself off. So yeah, I just thought I'd share that with you. I did actually, let's pause this. I did actually figure out what the problem was in the end, which is fortunate, because obviously I need to do a live show. But in updating the drivers, somehow there'd been a clash, a conflict between the software I used to essentially turn the graphics card power down and the update. So they'd clashed with each other, and it just didn't like it. So I've just retuned it, and now everything's hopefully going to be okay. I've tested it a couple of times. Hopefully it's all fine. It hasn't turned itself off since, as you just watched on screen. But nevertheless, if there is some catastrophic failure, I thought, right, well, I've made that video. I actually made that for my tech guy, Craig. I'm like, oh no, I've done a GPU update and it's all failing. So the first thing I did was knock on his door, because he contacted me yesterday, actually, and said, because there's a couple of little niggles with this computer, just software-related stuff that I can't figure out, that he's hopefully going to help me with. That's what specifically say what it is. So when I restart the computer, there's memory can't be written warning that doesn't seem to affect anything. It just pops up when I restart the computer. So he's going to solve that and go. We typically go out for a curry, but I'm really poor, so I'm like, actually, I can't afford to go out for a curry. And he's like, it's my treat. So I'm kind of in no position to sort of say no to him now. So I'll go out for a curry with him, and hopefully he'll come over and he'll fix this problem. Not this problem, because this has now been resolved, the one I've just shown you on screen. Or be it, I hope it's been resolved. So yeah, that's the reason for saying all this. If there is a catastrophic failure and I end up having to remix this recording manually to get it uploadable, and it's just a cut-off point. You'll know why from the beginning of the stream. Anyway, I better go into, I'm not even in there yet, into Discord and invite all the people along to G+, as exactly what I've said I'm going to do, and I haven't actually done it yet, so let's do that now.
What message did you send?
I just said in big letters, "The Earth is flat. Prove me wrong," and then sent the link to this VC.
Oh, well, so if they're calling you out, it's not really a problem.
Yeah. You have soundboards. The someone has soundboards. I've heard before.
It's not me. Not in this channel, anyways.
It's the other server.
Yes, in the other server on one of the ones that does the soundboard.
I was banned from that server, and I can't go anymore because I have a phone number, and they basically banned me from the phone number. So yeah, I'm fucked up. I can't be there. But I think it's I only use that server for information, like channels where they have information.
Yep, that's what it's there for. You must have done something pretty stupid to get banned from there.
I don't know. I think the problem was that I was there, then I was banned for some stupid thing, and then I came back because I used like a VPN, and then I was not verified yet, so they thought I was like a global trolling, and I was saying
Fair enough.
so yeah, they then banned me like forever.
Yeah, they're pretty strict over on that other server, so fair enough.
I don't look too much at this topic. I've looked at it for um, a while. Like I know about this. I know about this for like 3 years or something. But I've never really looked at everything with like a calculator and just measuring stuff. But I've seen a lot of videos, and it's just at this point it's just like there's no other way. I think um, it's like the globe doesn't make any sense whatsoever, and the more you try to prove it, the more ridiculous you sound. Like um, just the one, like sometimes you see one word answers, like some things you say, like you just say something and they reply with one word. They just say gravity or something, and then they shut up, and then you realize it's just like brainwashing. Like they just say stuff.
Gravity, refraction, satellites. Yeah, we love them.
Pretty much one word answers. And if you they don't want to, like, even if they just don't care really. I think it annoys them. But when you say something against their arguments, they just don't understand it. It's very difficult. Like, think about it. You were told this when you were a child, and then for like 20 years or something, or like 2 decades, or depending on how old you are. And if some guy on the internet says otherwise, you just there's not enough time for you to grasp the idea, you know. So I understand like why they are so dumb. They look so dumb the way they talk. But there's still some guys out there who are like globe earthers, and they've been trying to disprove what we see every day by making websites like Maktoon and shit like that. That's insane. Like they are beyond brainwashed. They are brainwashing themselves like without knowing, you know, like unintentionally
Yeah, that's the
unintentionally
anti-flat
brainwashed.
earther category. We don't like them much.
That's like brainwashed people relearning what they didn't know much about, but like they're purposeful, like unintentionally brainwashing themselves, and it's something so weird, and they really want to believe it, right? But if you keep asking them, like there's no evidence. It's just like a lot of what ifs, you know, and it's crazy, I think. And have you ever looked at TV? Like every news channel has like a globe presenting, dun, 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 welcome to the news report, blah blah blah, and there's like a big globe behind it.
I don't watch television. Sorry.
Well, no, not
For that
anymore.
reason.
Exactly, but
It's
still,
so toxic.
even if you don't watch it, there's YouTube channels that are promoting a lot of. Well, YouTube is like the new TV, right? Like the TV is still the TV, but it's everyone. Like if it's on the TV, it's like official stuff. They believe it like it's official. On YouTube, not so much. It's like it's still in conspiracy mode, type stuff. But because there's news organizations on YouTube, it's becoming more like TV.
Yeah, so what is your proof for flat Earth? Do you have any points?
Yeah, it's measured flat, flown
Exactly.
flat, and sailed across flat. Next.
Exactly. It's not so much that I have to prove it. It's like you just look at it and there's no any other shape. Like the shapes they're saying that it's a ball or whatever. Like that's on you to say it, because when you look at the sea, like any body of water at rest, it becomes flat and leveled. So if the Earth is 70% water, as they say, I'm not sure, but if that's what it is, then it would be 70% flat and leveled water, and that's not a shape that a globe makes. So just if you don't believe me that water is leveled, just look at literally any type of body of water. That's what it looks like. And
Well, I would say,
That was
I,
no
I would
proof at
also
all.
say, I would say, secondly, that it's the globe that actually has the burden of proof here, being the extraordinary claim. Yeah, we're just testing the current claim that's on the table. The person testing that claim isn't the one with the burden of proof. Secondly, what we witness every day when we walk outside is a flat stationary plane. We, like Matrix said, it's measured as flat, it's utilized as flat, it's navigated as flat. What we witness are the celestial bodies moving around us, not us moving. It is the globe that therefore has the extraordinary claim that we don't see in reality. So, do you have any evidence of the globe? Yeah. Do you have any evidence of all, or can you show anyone in history who's ever measured directly drop over distance?
I
Are you
have
talking to
some
me?
evidence for
Yes, I
if
am.
you want to
Yes.
hear.
Oh, okay. Wait, so you're saying sailors don't do any sort of calculations before they go out into the ocean? They do all
No,
their
you
cal-
actually didn't. You actually didn't listen to anything I said, obviously. Yeah, because you're asking for evidence of a flat Earth. It is the globe claim that has the burden of proof. So, do you have any evidence for this globe? Do you have any measured drop over distance?
No, because I haven't looked into drop over distance.
Okay, so is there anyone in history that we know of that's measured directly a drop over distance?
I don't know. I haven't looked into it. I just said.
Cool. So is there anyone you know that's actually proven rotation? Is there anyone that's shown that the Earth is actually rotating?
moving, even just like moving in general.
Yeah.
I mean, you can look out into the night sky and see
And
everything
see
move.
what we
You
can
think
see. Begging the question.
wait, you
We
think
see it
wait, you
begging the
think
question. Hang on.
Hold on,
you
AJ.
think
We
the
see
Earth doesn't
One
move,
sec,
all the
AJ.
stars do?
Hold on.
Hang on a second,
Exactly.
dude. What you're doing
AJ,
is you're just
just one
begging the
sec.
question, yeah?
AJ.
No,
Yeah.
if you keep a camera, right, and you go to an area where there is no light pollution, and you aim that up at the night sky, and you keep it, and you rotate it in terms of the calculations that they've got now, what you'll see is the stars stay stationary, and then the Earth is moving, right?
But that's because you
can just
move the
place the
camera.
camera down. No,
Just
it's
one
not.
sec,
No, it's not because
guys.
you moved the
Can I just
camera.
interrupt for a
No,
second? I'm really
no, no.
sorry
You
to.
just said
No,
You
you
don't
moved
move the
the
Guys,
camera.
I'm
camera.
sorry to
No,
take
if you
charge.
didn't
Just one
account, wait, if
second.
you didn't
Just one
account,
Everyone,
second.
calm
Just
down.
one second.
Hold on.
Hello, guys. Just one
I'm
second.
gonna leave now.
The guy who's
Go ahead.
talking, right? The Wonderkind guy. Just let him get to the end
Yeah.
of his claim. He's talking about moving his camera position with respect to his stars. I know a lot of people don't want to hear it. Just let him get to the end of his claim.
Yeah, so if you rotate the camera, right, in accordance to how the Earth is rotating, right, what you'll see is the stars stay stationary, right? Why would that be the case? Is the Earth
So
is
you're
rotating.
moving your camera
Yeah.
in alignment with the stars that are rotating above your head as we witness. Therefore, they appear to be stationary. Therefore, the Earth is rotating.
Why are you doing that for him, AJ? You don't have to do that for him. He can do that himself or not, but you don't have to do it for him.
Sorry, what was that?
You
I
don't have to do it
misunderstand what
for
you're
him.
saying, Nathan.
Yeah, you're so used to hearing them affirm the consequent that you've formulated into his logical fallacy on his behalf just then. And I'm saying he
Yeah.
hasn't actually formulated that yet, but you have on his behalf. And I'm
Yeah.
saying you don't have to do that. He didn't formulate it into that fallacy. He is using that fallacy. You know it, and you know how to formulate it correctly, which he's not done. But nevertheless, you don't have to do it.
Right. You're working for him, really.
In a way, I don't want to be rude to AJ because he's doing a cracking
Yeah.
job and all.
Sorry. I
Let
was
him
just trying
fall
to
into
point it
himself.
out to him. I was just trying to point it out to him because I don't think he realizes himself what he's actually doing.
Yeah, he's affirming
Can
the
you explain
consequence.
If I run, if I'm in a car and I'm going at 44 kilometers an hour, and Usain Bolt is running at full speed, then Usain Bolt is actually not moving because we're both going at the same speed, right? That's how it works. So if you move the camera and the stars don't look like they're moving, that's because you move the camera.
You need to think about the distance of the stars, right? Like these aren't just like right outside of our orbit, right? It's not just like, as soon as we look up into the sky, oh, they're right near, like those stars from where we're seeing them in that distance won't be moving around us at that speed.
What's that
Right?
distance,
It's because
brother?
the Earth is
Guys,
rotating.
guys,
What's
second
the
time's a charm.
distance?
I'm really sorry, the guy that's talking wonderkind or whatever. Just let him get to the end of his claim, right?
Jesus. Okay.
I think I made my claim pretty clear.
You're
If you
claiming that the
stabilize a
stars are far
camera
away.
and then rotate, yeah, if you do a rotation and it's stabilized right on the night sky, and what you'll see is the Earth rotating, but the stars staying stationary.
Now you're rotating your camera.
Yes, in accordance the rotation of the Earth. And what you'll see
That's-
is the night sky stays stationary, right? The stars do not move, right? But then you can see obviously everything like the ground, like it being rotated up into the camera. So you
Okay,
can see
thank
the
you.
Earth rotating, right? But the stars are staying
Thank you.
stationary.
Yeah, we got that all 3 times. And it was put to you in logical format,
Should I?
or illogical as the case may be, by AJ. That's an affirming the consequent fallacy. Do you know what that is?
No, I don't know what that is.
Okay. It's a
Explain it.
fallacy in formal terms where you assume your outcome, observe something, and then assert that that observation affirms your first assumption. So the form is if P then Q, Q therefore P. So if the Earth is rotating, when I rotate my camera, yeah, I rotate my camera, therefore Earth is turning.
No, if you rotate your camera at the speed in which the Earth rotates,
We got that the first
the night
3
sky will
times,
stay
son,
stationary.
sir.
Yes.
We got
Yeah, I
that.
don't understand why you're not
I got
understanding
that.
this.
I got that. I heard it 3 times.
Yeah.
Now I know that there is this sort of urgency to repeat that which we've heard 3 times, but you've had a rebuttal now. We heard your claim.
No, I haven't. I haven't had a rebuttal.
The
The rebuttal that I
came
heard
from.
was
Just
Usain
stop.
Bolt
Stop
running next to
I've
a
stopped
car.
others interrupting you. Now please don't do it to me. Okay? We heard the same claim 3 times. You're trying to get it in a 4th time through the top of me pointing out after you've denied it and hand waved it that you've had a rebuttal. What the rebuttal was pointing out your error in logic. Now, you affirmed that you don't know what an affirming the consequent fallacy is, and you have now heard it for the first time from me. But you're saying you haven't committed that fallacy? Yeah, it's been defined by 2 people to you.
You haven't
So
defined
I
it very
haven't
well.
finished.
You haven't defined
I haven't
it very
finished.
well. Okay.
So that you can explain to me how it isn't an affirming the consequent, and given that I've literally just explained it to you, perhaps you can explain what an affirming the consequent fallacy is to us,
You
so
didn't
we
explain
know
it well.
when you deny that you've used it, you actually understand what it is. So can you explain to
Was that
me
you
what an affirming the
explaining? Was
consequent
that
is,
you
please?
explaining it?
Are you talking through me?
Affirming consequent. Yeah, you didn't even explain it.
I did. I gave it you in its full logical form. If P, then Q, Q, therefore P. I did explain it, and I put your fallacy into it, as did Ed. I'm still talking and responding.
Thanks,
Having
man.
your fallacies
and
pointed
I'm
out is
talking, and
obviously
I'm talking,
painful to you,
right?
and you feel that it is needed to talk straight through the top of the embarrassing fact that you have used a fallacy. You talking through the top of me is not going to undo the fact that both myself and AJ have not only pointed out your fallacy, but now twice explained what that fallacy is to someone who has already admitted that they don't know what that fallacy is. Now, you, the ignorant one who doesn't even know what the fallacy is and has only had it explained to him in the last minute, has decided he has not committed it. So based on that, I'm asking you to detail the fallacy to me. So obviously, in your explanation, I would expect the form of your argument not to slip into that when you explain it to me. Now, if you can't, I would suggest you go away and research that fallacy rather than just telling me you haven't committed it and chanting through the top of me, because it's getting irritating. And as you can hear from my tone, you're starting to annoy me. Don't just yabber through me that you haven't committed it. 2 people have explained it to you. Do you understand?
Also, there's
So
another
you muted me, and
objection
it's
I
PP
would
and
just
Q.
like
So
to,
your
after you're
definition for the
done.
fallacy is PP and Q. Yes, we just get that on
No,
record.
I actually explained
No?
it to you in very, very simple terms, and Nathan gave it to you in logical terms, yeah, in an actual format.
Yeah, repeat.
Hang on,
He needs to repeat what he
hang on.
said.
You just didn't listen because you're not listening. You're trying to formulate an argument while others are speaking. And you did that the first time when I tried to explain it to you, because you came back with a question that wasn't even relevant to the explanation that I gave. So Nathan would probably be happy to give it to you again, but if you could please listen, that'd be really cool.
Yes, I'm trying to listen, but he said PP and Q, right?
Yeah, so this is a logical format.
No. That is not what I said. The reason it isn't what I said is because I understand the fallacy you used and can explain it
Yes, and I
within
said
the
I don't understand
confines
it, so
and
you need to
context
explain
of that fallacy. I appreciate that
Yeah, so
while
you
I'm
need to explain
halfway
it
through a
properly.
sentence, it's easier for you to not hear the person correcting you, and would be better if you just carried on talking. I understand that being corrected by me, I'll introduce myself now. My name is Nathan Oakley, and I am a flat earther, and so is AJ. These are the people correcting you for your use of fallacy. It would be preferable if in the middle of you being corrected and educated in something you up until now didn't know, you didn't just talk through us. Okay?
Yes, okay, fair enough. So I said, I don't know what the fallacy is, right? You said, I'll explain it to you. You then went on a rambling of nothing and then went PP and Q, right? I've told you I don't understand what that fallacy is, right? You
No,
haven't
he didn't.
explained it
I'll
well
give
at
you the
all.
logical form again, dude. Listen, if P, I move my camera, then Q, the Earth is then rotating. Q, I move my camera and the star's stationary. Therefore, P, the Earth must be rotating. That is the logical form of the affirming the consequent.
Also,
So if you
this
would
claim that
like,
was
and
rotation, there was a claim of rotation, correct? Where is the point of reference to describe this rotation from?
Point of reference?
No, there's plane of reference, not point of reference. You need a plane of reference 90 degrees to the axis. So where are we observing this plane of reference?
That's not what I asked. I said, right, all I want is a rebuttal for this, right?
okay,
I only want
no
a rebuttal.
worries.
It's
Dude,
simple.
Yeah,
here you
it
go.
doesn't
I'll
work
make
like
it
that.
really simple. Affirming the consequent.
Okay, I'll just say what I'm saying again, right? Without
No,
that's
you
not what
won't.
fallacy
No,
Dude,
was.
to stop. Everyone stop.
dude,
Number
you're
one,
driving
hold
me
on,
mad.
AJ. Hold on. Number one, you're not in charge. So just saying, I will just blather away through the top of everybody because I've chosen to, is not going to be what happens here. Has he just left?
He's gone, Nathan.
No worries.
He's gone.
No worries. No, they can't tolerate losing and being corrected by flat earthers. It is too painful. They will just run. Alternatively to running, they can yabber through the top of everything we say indefinitely or run. That's generally the choice. Some of them have more advanced choices or try and reposition this situation into, no, if I stick my fingers in my ears and chant continually through the top of them, then they'll have to remove me. That's the other alternative that they try and create if they continually keep talking through the top of everything and not listening, because then it's not like they've heard the claim, right? Because they've been talking when the claim's put to them. So they never get to respond. Eventually they get removed, and then they'll cry foul about getting removed. Like, no, I asked him politely several times without talking through him, clearing the airwaves so his claim could be heard without any impediment whatsoever. And then the moment we're challenging it, it's him chanting through the top of AJ. When I try and take control of that, he's chanting through the top of me. When we're trying to get control of the situation and ask him a question about his claim, that's John's question about his axis, and where he's going to get a plane of reference to have that axis 90 degree to, he's telling me we're not responding to his question. Dumbo. Yeah, you know, just like everybody else who comes here, they think they're going to do really well because flat earthers, aren't they stupid? Shocking, isn't it? They get here and immediately have their ass handed to them, and their only resort is to chant through every single word we say while we demonstrate the humiliating truth that he's used the fallacy and he doesn't even know what it is, but will deny using it, having only heard the name of it in the last 2 minutes. So what did he do when we're putting it to him again and questioning him on his claim? That would be about axis and 90 degrees. Run. Because he can't bear to be absolutely humiliated by flat earthers.
It said PPQ. PPQ.
I thought my question was concise about his claim. I just want a clarification on what he meant by rotation.
It was, and he knew what you were talking about because he said point. And you said, no, not point, plane.
Also, I had a further dumbed down version, as did AJ. We were both vibing on the same lines, right? Of what the affirming the consequent was. So I'd already in my mind gone, okay, I can break this down. I can dumb this down one step further if need be, right? If my statement is true, then this random thing will happen. Random thing has happened, therefore my thing is true. That's how it works. It's really simple to explain. If Earth's turning, I'll see stars rotating. I do see stars rotating, therefore Earth is turning. That's how it actually breaks down. You can complicate it by saying, I can make the stars stop because Earth is turning and I can counteract that with my camera turning, therefore Earth is turning. But it's the exact same affirming the consequent fallacy with one extra step inserted, as in one extra section of Q. So what? Do you not think we've heard that affirming the consequent fallacy 1,000 times? Of course we have. Oh, well, no, you're just not listening. If I turn my camera, oh wow, that extra step made it so much more complex for us to understand this fallacy. No.
Well, I would like to point out that even if you granted his logical fallacy, since he was using a plane of reference to describe rotation in the word rotation itself, because it needs a plane of rotation. The globe is supposed to claim the equatorial plane, but if it's a plane of reference, you have to be able to reference it. You would actually be claiming the flat Earth is spinning.
Yep. Because that's how their model really works, isn't it? You can, like a lampshade that you pull out from being flat packed, that you buy on the shelf in a millimeter thick packaging that's like 50 by 50 by 1 mil. And then you get it home and you expand it out into a globe shape and then stick it on your light bulb, right? Very popular in the 80s and 90s. Anyway, globe-shaped lampshade. Well, that is precisely how they've actually transposed a flat Earth measurement angles off a flat plane to Polaris to create the circles that you'd have on that lampshade if it was laying flat. That's how they're actually measured. And when they expand those areas of equal elevation with respect to Polaris into a globe-shaped, not even map, because they're gonna transpose it once over into the Mercator. And before even doing that, they're going to transpose it onto a tube from the globe. But my point is that to get the globe to infer that it's ever had any relevance to the process of mapping and navigating, they've got to pop out what is a two-dimensional measuring process and claim that the expanded points for areas of equal altitude sit on the extended spherical surface that's popped out from those measurements. But then they don't work anymore as angle measurements. So then they say that you've got to be inside that globe that you've just popped out, effectively making it the protractor you measured with in the first place.
Yeah, there's no, at no point do you ever have a globe, like to contrast and compare it with. You're always using a plane. They're stuck with that. And if we weren't in this topic, they would accept that. that we measure it flat, without question or qualm. It's just when they're talking to us, it seems like they don't want to address it.
Like on screen now. I think this was National Geographic talking about Al Biruni measuring a flat plane to get the height of the mountain, and they even japed with the audience. I mean, obviously we've got to measure Earth flat to do this. Meanwhile, we're going to now curve the ground that's below this flat measurement we've just used to start this process. You're like, what? Yeah, they'll accept it quite happily. Yeah, we've got to measure Earth flat to do this. Obviously, it's our starting point. If we don't have that, we can't do this. But we'll bend the ground after we've got it from the flat ground. It's no worries. Like, okay, well, we'll just point out you're measuring it flat from this point forth.
Yeah, like they ask for it. They come in and ask for evidence, and then they present the evidence. I love it. It's genius.
Well, you didn't quite get the opportunity with that guy. The moment you asked him about his plane of reference for his rotational claim with an axis that needs a plane of reference, he buggered off. Told us that we weren't listening to his claim. He'd already started chanting through what was being responded to him in opposition.
But he did hear it. But you hear it, Neil pointed out his response. He said, "What do you mean, a point?"
One of my ears is really blocked up. Went to a theme park and then picked up 2 infections. I was obviously biting my nails at some point. I've got a nasty infection under one of my fingernails and one in my ear. You're like, bloody hell. Kiddies theme parks, obviously completely covered in germs.
Well, I gave him a response in the chat here because old Wonderkind's still in the chat. So I gave him the just the logical fallacy, the definition here for him. And he's just come back and given it to me again, correcting himself with another logical fallacy. So he's come back and said, if the Earth rotates, then a rotation stabilizer camera pointed at the night sky will show stationary stars and a rotating Earth. A rotation stabilized camera pointed at the night sky shows stationary stars and a non-rotating Earth. Therefore, the Earth rotates.
So what you're telling me is
So-
you showed him how an affirming the consequent works in its full logical form that I criticise you for giving him on his behalf. And he's gone away and gone, right, you're right, I don't understand this fallacy, I see. So if my assumption of Earth turning, then camera rotation in whatever bullshit way I describe, my bullshit way of describing camera rotation, therefore Earth rotation, I'll formulate it that way and that'll make them happy. No, you've now got to
he
the
just
stage
gave
where
me
you
the
can
exact
actually
definition.
formulate the
He gave
logical
me the
fallacy
exact-
correctly, but correctly formulating the fallacy doesn't overcome the fact that it's a fallacy. What a complete idiot.
I can't believe it. I'm trying to get him back
the
in the
more
room. He won't
information-
come in.
AJ, then John.
He goes, I'm going to explain it to you again. Because I said, you're just affirming the consequent. And he says to me now again, I'm going to explain it here now again. Here now. If the Earth rotates, and a rotation stabilized camera point at the night sky, so he's just repeated it again.
He seems to believe
you
that
he can't
repeating it
even
again is going to make it
rotation.
sink into your brain.
Like he
Please
did
define
like he did live
rotation.
when he repeated his claim 3 times.
Man.
He needs to define
Okay,
rotation
Wonderkind, I know
before we
you can
move
hear us.
forward.
Wonderkind, go to a racetrack, get your camera, and track one of the cars. Oh my God, the ground is moving and the car is perfectly still. That's what you're telling us by locking your camera to the stars.
No, he employs a fallacy. If P then QQ, therefore P, therefore Earth is turning because he's using affirming the consequent fallacy. We did try and explain it to him. He's just gone back to the chat and then reused the same fallacy 3 times. I don't get it. Some people are just very stupid. Why is he on server mute?
Obviously,
is he back
he's
in
stupid.
here?
But
He's back in here. Get John to
Oh, cool.
explain
No,
it
I'll
to
take
him.
him off. We'll take him off mute. Let's
Well, we're up
take
to
him
the
off.
point where John was asking
Sorry,
him
I
the
said
question
we
about
wouldn't.
his axis.
Why am I muted? Because you guys love to suppress people. Also, when you read that out, you
No,
read it
no.
incorrect.
Just
Hang
everyone
on,
else,
dude.
stop. He's just
Hang
come
on,
off
dude.
mute. Let him get himself tuckered out, moaning about what he wants to moan about. Then we'll get back to John asking him about the plane of reference for his axial rotation. Let him get tuckered out first, though. Go ahead.
Hang on. He's just made a claim that what I read incorrect. So I'm going to read it word for word first. So explain it here now. If the Earth rotates, then a rotation stabilized camera pointed at the night sky will show stationary stars and Earth rotating. A rotation stabilized camera pointed at the night sky shows stationary stars and a rotating Earth. Therefore, the Earth rotates. Now, that's exactly what I read word for word earlier. No, he's had to jump out again because he doesn't want to be corrected on his straw man.
No, it's an affirming the consequent, not a straw man.
No, straw manning me and telling me that I didn't read his claim out word for word when I did. Well, claiming I'm a
Does he know
liar, I
what his
would say.
claim means? Does he know what his
I
claim
just don't
means?
think he.
He's made a claim.
I don't
Is the
think he
words that
does.
he used?
The answer is probably no. We weren't going to get to holding him to task on needing a flat plane for his axis. We weren't going to get there, John. He was going to bitch and moan about us suppressing him.
I mean, it's the most basic thing. You can't have a claim if you can't define the terms you're using, because then you have no knowledge, and you're just making words that seem to make sense to other people, but don't really. Yeah, you're not
Hold on, I
doing
got a
anything
message from him.
if you can't
No,
define them.
you're just not listening or understand him. Repeat claim here.
Well, he listened, understood me. He understood me because he said point of reference, and I had to correct him. You're not using a point of reference.
Say again, Neil.
I said, it's exactly right. He said point. And John said, no, plane. So they know.
Okay, just for the benefit of Discord, for those of you who aren't familiar with what goes on here about this sort of time on a Friday, I run a show from this server at the grace of the server operators who are very kind to let me be here. However, because I do go out to a live audience, please don't swear. That's it.
As flat earthers, I don't really see us having any reason to get upset about the argument. Now they have. I was really surprised Tim Osmond got as upset as he did.
Me too.
And he's
Biggest
posted it
Spartan.
again.
Say again.
He's
He
posted
says
that
I would
again.
just. He said I would just love somebody to explain to me why this would not be correct. If the Earth rotates and a stabilized rotation, stabilized camera. Man, we've explained it, yeah? I've actually given you the exact definition from logicalfallacies.com of an affirming the consequent. Go and read it and line it up side by side by what you have just claimed. Or, I
You're
don't know.
talking to a brick wall, AJ. That guy's dumb. Give up. You had the Kiwi guy telling him, if you're in the middle of the racetrack.
Oh, that was Matrix. He's another Aussie.
He's a Kiwi, isn't he?
No, he's Aussie.
No.
Yeah, you're looking for trouble there, Nathan, I tell you.
Yeah, I was actually. It was intentional. I'm just trying to have a little poke. Why not? Yeah. What's your name? Something beginning with M. Metatrix. Is that you?
Matrix. Yep.
Or Matrix? Fine. Yeah, you had it bang on, right? If you can
I'm here.
rephrase his objection into your paraphrasing of an example alongside it, you've got, oh right, can anyone explain why the ground isn't turning when I film these cars? That's his rebuttal to AJ.
Yeah. I'm not so focused on this. I'm not so focused on this discussion right now. I'm actually speaking with someone else in a text channel, and I asked them, if you're moving at a constant velocity in circles, would you feel yourself moving? And they said no. That's so stupid. Like, if you turn a car, you're gonna go to the other side. Like, if you turn left, your body's gonna go to the right. He said no. Like, that's so insane. Just so they believe in the
saying
globe.
just dumb. You're dealing with people that aren't that smart. Your average rank
It's
and
like
file.
just so that they can keep believing in the globe, they reject basic everyday physics. It's insane.
They
And
don't
I made a
know.
meme about it and I posted it in the text channel.
You're giving them too much credit. You're under the misapprehension that when
I
you, a
really
flat
am,
earther,
honestly.
puts to them something that's basic physics in your terminology, you're
Yeah.
assuming that they
No, it's
understand
like
it,
no,
and they
but
don't.
if you weren't a flat earther and you were just asking it like a regular normal question, they probably would guess it. But just because they don't want to believe in the flat Earth, I guess,
Yes.
or just because they don't want to reject the globe, they can't admit the. It's so silly. It's like what the hell? It's like so silly.
Well, we coined a term for that
Right, but
because it's anti-flat earther, which is to say that in many instances, not only will they just reject whatever it is you're saying out of hand because they're having it put to them by a flat earther, they'll also reject their own globe rhetoric if you put it to them. So as a flat earther, you can suggest how their system operates. In this case, John was putting it to the opponent that there's an axis which needs a plane of reference. Now, in some instances, the anti-flat earther will flat out deny their own rhetoric, globe rhetoric, because a flat earther's putting it to them.
Right. Oh man, that's so crazy.
yeah, and what you
I
just
kind of
described
watch.
with the car is the conservation of linear momentum. That means you need a
Yeah.
horizontal plane to describe this momentum from. When you're traveling
Exactly.
straight
You
and make a
first
left, your body wants to continue straight, you're turning left,
and
you're describing that with
and
respect to a plane.
exactly. And there's also like if you like there's some other guy that's saying, "Oh, my uncle flies airplanes or something," and then I asked him if he dips the plane nose down so that he doesn't go off the earth. He just totally ignored that question and then just asked something else. Like I don't think they're really thinking anything. They're just expecting you to say something triggering, and then they say no, 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 and then they just say something else. Like they're not thinking.
Morning, everyone.
How are you?
That was
Morning.
a great interlude.
Oh, well, thank you. I've done it
High
about
quality.
2,000 times.
It's sounding very professional.
It probably got there after about 200 shows. Anyway, we like to open with housekeeping typically, but every time we come into the politics server, we're here with a mission to enlighten general members of the public that might wander their way into this particular server, being unfamiliar with, I'm going to call it my own, and point out to them that Earth is measured flat. Now, if indeed we do happen to have a globe believer come across our path while we're here live, then obviously we'll listen to their claims and point out to them how they require a flat Earth in their claim of a globe. But in the meantime, we typically would ask housekeeping questions just to entice any globe believers that may be in the Discord server to perhaps enlighten us with questions that we've had for many, many years. Now, we're only going to ask a couple in this instance just to hopefully warm you all up in the Discord server. But is there any scientific evidence of gravity?
What's gravity?
You're asking
We
me?
don't know. Next question. If you're
Fair enough if we're
asking
moving on
Neil
that quick.
deGrasse Tyson, he's gonna say we don't know. Next question, and that's one of the best scientists, right? Most
He's
popular
not a
ones.
scientist. Definitely not.
Oh yeah, I meant you know what I meant.
He's one of their best priests.
Well, if you're asking for
Exactly.
scientific method or scientific evidence, what's the observed phenomena that
Okay,
we see in nature?
I'll ask a different question. Is there any single viable hypothesis from any of the fields of astronomy, cosmology, or astrophysics of which Neil deGrasse Tyson is a part?
Negative.
Well, now, don't they claim a cause for a downward bias?
Not exactly. Their claim is the uneven distribution of mass in a causal attribute for bent pseudo-Riemannian fourth dimensional space-time. So if you want to say they've got a cause and effect relationship, then that would be the uneven distribution of mass causes the bending and warping of space-time. Well, bending and warping of space-time is a fourth dimensional concept in a geometry invented by a man. It's not physics.
Right, but still, they say that the uneven distribution of mass bends and warps the fabric of space-time to give us, in the third dimension, an apparent downward vector.
The vector's the geodesic in the fourth dimension, which we don't have.
No, they're describing it from the third dimension so that it can be a reference frame dependent force, a pseudo force.
So you're saying because they're describing actual reality with length, breadth, and depth, right? Length, width, and height. Why would that mean that their description in the pseudo fourth dimension has any ascribable reality-based attributes in a third dimension? I mean, I understand what you're saying. You're saying that when they take you on this bait and switch journey where they say, if you imagine yourself as a playing card, yeah, and then you imagine that you had a digestive tract, then the digestive tract would effectively bifurcate you as an entirety. You'd have just this tube running through you that made you two things, right? Because you can't have a third dimension for a tube to exist in. You've only got two dimensions. Now, if you're that two-dimensional entity and you try and imagine what we in the third dimension experience, you're like, hang on, straight away we've got a problem. Number one, what are these two-dimensional entities that can imagine the idea of being in a third dimension when they are not? That no such entity exists, but nevertheless we're on this la-la land journey of understanding how a two-dimensional being could not interpret our three-dimensional world. And as a three-dimensional being, you couldn't possibly imagine the fourth-dimensional world that we cannot experience, and was invented by Einstein in a mathematical geometry called pseudo-spacetime, otherwise known as pseudo-Riemannian geometry. Fourth-dimensional, non-experienceable, not physics. But because what we can describe it from the fourth dimension, we can experience it in the third? No, we can't. It's nonsense.
Experience what, though? What are they claiming in the third dimension?
In the third dimension, they're not. They're claiming a bent geodesic fourth dimension.
Yeah, they are making a claim. There's an apparent downward vector. That way they can take it to a reference frame dependent force like you do with Coriolis.
Maybe this transposition that's come... Is this an anti-flat earth or an Einsteinian transposition between the two? Because I've never seen this documented. Is this just how it gets explained to you by anti-flatties?
No, this is how it gets explained to you. That the equivalence principle, right? In a accelerating frame of reference, you couldn't tell if you were falling or the Earth was rising up to meet you, or the reference frame was rising up to meet you. You ever heard that?
Yeah, I understand the equivalence principle. I'm just saying, where's the connection between bent geodesics in a space-time geometry and the equivalence principle? If you can show me the connection between the two in terms of how that infers an actual downward bias in three dimensions. Because number one, there isn't one. And number two, it exists in the description in the fourth dimension only. So where's the connection?
I'm not disagreeing with that. Therefore, it doesn't exist. This is basically what you're saying. Because
it can't exist.
It's
a description in a geometry. But if you're saying the equivalence principle writes the wrong of us not being able to experience bent space-time, then I'm all for hearing it. Even if it's mathematical, I'd love to understand it from a mathematical perspective, because in my assumption, it's just like I was when I was a glober. Okay, well, this is just beyond my comprehension. But then you look into it and go, well, it still isn't making sense, because it doesn't.
Right. Well, the thing is you have the horizontal plane of reference from which you'll describe down. And you're trying to explain why everything falls down. Even within that description, which not everything falls down, you can look out your window and see clouds, But if you forget the natural world and go purely into the mathematical, and you have a downwards vector, and you're trying to give a causal reason for that, right? You can turn that down into time, and then the amount of time it takes for that object to fall to the ground is actually how long it took the Earth to move from point A to point B.
I see. So you can ascribe an extra vector through time, and then because there is no difference, you just move the scale. So with an extra step, you take something that is not moving, because you're asking the question whether or not you'd experience if you were in an upward vector as per the equivalence principle. And you also have a gerrymandering of the scale 4 down. So if you say that you are not moving, one would assume that you are experiencing a 0. Not moving, 0. Wrong! 1 G. 0 is you falling. So you just need to move the scale so that when nothing's happening, because you wouldn't know the difference in the equivalence principle. Well done, John. I didn't actually understand that connection until now.
Well, there's a little bit more to it, because whether you're describing a force pulling everything down to the plane of reference, or you're describing the plane of reference rising up to meet everything, what are you still using to describe it?
Plane of reference.
Yep, every single time.
Yeah, and had this been a fundy, we'd have obviously toyed with them for a while and then got to the point that they're using a plane of reference. Because every single example of a globe claim will also be tied to a globe / flat plane of reference. That is to say, when they suggest they're using a globe, the origins of that claim will lie with a flat Earth measurement. They just don't know it. It's been hidden from them. So when people ask us, how did they hide the flat Earth? They didn't. They hid the measurement from you, the general normie. And they relied upon anybody who's so indoctrinated into the globe understanding, who then goes on to explain things like Al-Biruni, will, carte blanche, accept the fact that we are measuring Earth flat in order to claim sphericity. They may even apologise for it. But they won't decry it. That's the point. But decry it you must when we point out that the only actual measurement taking place is one of a flat Earth, for you to get to your globe. So in many ways, we're advancing the heliocentrist in their understanding of how their globe came to pass, because it came to pass through measuring a flat Earth first. It then gets turned into a sphere for you to believe you're standing on it. All seems well with this live stream, which I'm very happy with. Just before we started recording today, I did a NVIDIA graphics card update, driver update rather, and after I do such things, I tend to test the computer just to see it's all okay. And I did, and it all loaded up, and a game started running, and I started watching the YouTube video that was over my shoulder on the iPad, and then it all went black, the computer, that is. I'm like, oh crap, this driver doesn't seem to like my computer. So, you know, after a fiddle and a faff, I got it to work and contacted my tech guy, who didn't necessarily respond. But if there happens to be any argy-bargy with this stream, that's probably why. But I have tested it since, and it does seem fine. Beware of graphics card driver updates. Are there any...
Download some RAM.
hold on. G+, just one sec. I'm going to address AJ. Are there any fundies that have been chat skanking that you were hoping to get the attention of? Before we carry on chit-chatting, I don't want to...
No, we've still got Wonderkind in the chat carrying on. He still doesn't understand the logical fallacy. But other than that, we're no one else in the chat. Yeah.
Okay, well,
oh, hang on. No, we got yes, we do. Sorry.
It's been like
Dazza.
half an hour.
Yeah, I'm keen to have a crack again.
Come on, Dazza, get into it, buddy.
Please don't swear, whoever you are.
I want to have a chat about GPS, if that's all right.
GPS
What your views are on
here at the moment,
GPS.
Brian, but we can try. I'm no expert, but fine, go ahead.
So for me, GPS and inertial navigation are the modern globe proofs, right? That they kind of show without a doubt that we are on a sphere, and in the case of inertial navigation, that there is motion of the sphere relative to an inertial reference. But GPS particularly provides very high precision information about the figure of the Earth, the shape of the Earth, in a way that's essentially irrefutable. And has a couple of side effects.
You know
It
how it
demonstrates
works.
a couple
Everyone
of
shush.
elasticity.
Shush. Go ahead, Dazzler.
Yeah, sorry, what was that?
Somebody just interrupted you, and I want you to be definitely at the end, so we've heard your claim unimpeded. That was all. Go ahead. Let us know when you're done.
Yeah. So from my perspective, my claim is that GPS provides pretty rock solid evidence that the Earth is a sphere.
Okay. How?
Well, a couple of reasons. So the first one is that the position of the GPS satellites and their time, it's essentially impossible to fake. That if you were to work out your position from the information that the GPS satellites are broadcasting, it's not possible for that information to simultaneously resolve to a position for everybody on the Earth that can see those signals. And yeah, that's probably the concrete proof for me.
May I deal with that one for you?
Hold on a
then?
second. Just one sec. Why is that proof? I don't. That to me, I don't think I even heard you say the word globe.
Well, yeah. So for me, it's proof because the way that you calculate your position from the GPS information, and the distance that you calculate from the GPS satellites, and then plotting those positions on the surface of the Earth is a sphere. So to fabricate that information in any other way is essentially impossible.
How is it done? Tell us how it is done.
How is it done?
Yeah, from what I just heard,
So
you're relying
GPS
on timing distances and how it gets plotted onto the Earth. Well, I mean, I'm a little bit confused because you're not plotting these positions onto Earth. You're extracting them out from plotting them onto a map or, something in a simulation or a model that you can position this information with, right? At the very least, a map. But you're saying on Earth, which is a bit confusing. But I'm saying how? Tell us how the process works and at what point we've got a globe-shaped Earth in it. Because so far, again, I don't think you're at any point other than saying, well, that therefore proves globe, but you haven't included that in the actual explanation of how it works yet.
So how it works is this. So the GPS satellites are in orbit, whether you believe that or not.
Hold on. Just stop.
Their orbits.
No, stop.
Yep.
Okay. So they're in orbit. Do you appreciate that the description mathematically of orbits relies upon us measuring a flat Earth to achieve that assumption of things moving around a spherical surface that's been derived from measurements of a flat plane? Or to put it another way,
No,
do you appreciate that orbits proves Earth is being measured flat for orbits to exist?
No, so to calculate the
That wasn't my. I
properties of
didn't
an
ask you what.
orbit, you only need to know that.
I didn't ask. It's a closed question. I'll try again. Listen closely.
No, it's an open question because it's.
No, it's not. I'll repeat it. Do you not appreciate that orbits requires Earth be measured flat? Do you not appreciate that?
No, orbits require the center of mass of the body that you're orbiting, and in the case of a small object compared to a large object, the velocity of the object.
Which object?
And that's all you need to calculate
which
the orbit.
object would we be describing in this orbital motion precisely?
The satellite around the center of mass of the Earth.
No, when these orbits were devised by Kepler, there were no satellites. What are you babbling about? Do you not understand what orbits are in reference to?
Oh, a satellite can be any object that's orbiting a large object.
Orbits. You used the word orbits. I said it needs a flat plane. Now you're telling me about what satellites do. No, we've got Keplerian orbital motion according to you, and I've asked you 3 times with a closed question if you did not appreciate that it needs a flat Earth to be measured. You still haven't answered me. If your answer's no, I did not appreciate that, then I'll explain. If the answer's yes, I appreciate that, I'll be like, right, well, welcome to flat Earth then, because you've now appealed to something that requires Earth be measured flat. Did you not appreciate that?
I think you're incorrect. Because Kepler's.
Oh, well, let me enlighten you. Then that would be a point that I'd be making a claim, and I'd need to expand on it, wouldn't it? Rather than you just saying, no, you're wrong and moving on. I'd need to substantiate my claim, would I not?
Yeah. Cool.
Right, well, we're referencing the ephemeris. When Kepler, maybe if you keep talking, I won't actually get to challenge what you've said about orbits, and you can just keep yammering through the top of my justification for claiming that orbits requires a flat Earth. John, did you want to... I've cut you off 6 times. Now, I know I'll get accused of calling you my bloody favourite for now offering you the opportunity to justify what I've now said I'll justify. I'm happy to do it if you don't, but given that you've tried to get in 6 times, did you want to do this? If not, I'll carry on.
No, you go ahead. You're doing fine. I mean, I was going to take him to apogee and perigee. I mean, he's already invoked center of mass, which
I wasn't going to
calculation,
use
you need an
apogee and
inertial
perigee.
plane, so
I wasn't going to use that. I was going to use angle measurements to Polaris for the system in the first place, and the descriptions of the movements with respect to the horizontal plane of reference for the ephemeris, for Kepler to derive his motions of orbit off a flat plane measurement. But I wasn't going to use the apogee and perigee, so given that I've kind of summarised what I was going to go to, do you want to do that now?
Well, I can just summarize all of them. Apogee and perigee is elevation angles with respect to a flat plane. What he just described with the center of mass is giving a Newtonian explanation for the orbits in eccentricity. Eccentricity is a deviation from the horizontal plane, which is still a flat plane. Sorry. And hold on a sec. I'm blanking now. I've been put on the spot. Maybe
Axis
you
of
go ahead and
rotation.
take over. I'm sorry.
Axis of rotation through Polaris, same thing.
Oh, yes, yeah. To describe your rotation, it'll be with respect to the equatorial plane, but the plane of reference must be referenceable, so you're obviously not using that. You got a lot of flat Earth in there that you just don't accept for some reason, but you accept the overall claim, and that doesn't make sense.
Okay, so in summary, we're taking angle measurements to the stars, documenting them, and then taking that into a mathematical model devised by Kepler to claim that Earth is a sphere and these bodies that they've tracked with respect to a flat plane are moving around said sphere. You need quite a few flat plane measurements before you get to the sphere bit, so it relies upon us measuring Earth flat for the angles to these stars. We all clear now? You said you thought I was wrong. I'm not.
Okay, so we can...
I just need you to acknowledge that flat plane that was measured prior to the introduction of the sphere.
It's not relevant to the...
Oh, is it not? I would say it's absolutely relevant, given it's the measurements that the sphere has come from.
We're discussing the orbits of
and
objects.
the orbits are a derivation of these flat Earth measurement angles to the stars to derive this orbital motion with those measurements. What part of this aren't you understanding?
You can derive the orbital motion from Newton's law of universal gravitation.
Already handled that.
You don't need Kepler's laws. You can actually derive Kepler's laws from Newton's laws of gravitation. Well, you don't even need Newton's laws of gravitation. You can do it from the gravitational acceleration of something on Earth. That's good enough to work out an orbit.
Right, gravitational acceleration.
Where the center of mass.
Can you shut up? We heard you the first 3 times. He's tried to address you 3 times. Now you need to shut up. Don't keep chanting it. We heard. Go ahead, John.
Right, his descriptions of a force of gravity, whether he's using Newtonian or not, it's still with respect to an inertial plane. You're describing a downwards vector. He's still in the same conundrum if he tries to jump to Newtonian. It's still a flat plane. You're measuring a flat plane. You're just measuring a downward vector with respect to a flat plane. That's it.
It's a downward vector reference to a coordinate system.
I'm still confused. Where's the sphere proof? We were told GPS. Okay. So can we move on? Because you started using orbits. You don't need to talk through me. I'm concluding, given your loss. You don't need to yammer through me concluding your loss. Orbits needs a flat Earth measurement in the... I'm going to have to ask the server operators to mute you because you can't tolerate losing.
I didn't say anything.
Well, your line danced, and now you're saying something, so your mic's obviously wide open. Mute. So I don't have to ask the server operators to do it for you. I'm talking, which means you're on mute. Yeah, this guy lost badly, really badly, because he appealed to a flat Earth measurement for his orbital motion. First you measure a flat Earth, then you derive spheres and orbital motion from those flat Earth measurements. He didn't want to accept it and started to appealing to a downward bias with respect to a flat plane in the form of gravity, also requiring a flat plane. So, we're not going to accept your orbital motion description of these satellites when you're talking about GPS. Now, given that that has been concluded, we'll move on to what I first put to you, which is, no, this isn't on the ground. It's going to be described with a map. where these points with respect to the satellites you claimed in GPS, that's Global Positioning System, will reference to. So, do you know which map will be used with GPS?
Say no, sir. No.
Who was
am I
that?
muted?
He was speaking to Dazza, yeah? Who keeps butting into this conversation? Who just said no, sir? Oh, Dazza, you're up, buddy. Sorry.
Oh, cool. So, where are we? Yeah, so we reference everything to the origin of a coordinate system. That coordinate system is, for all practical purposes, the center of mass of the Earth. GPS coordinates are relative to that frame, and the GPS coordinates, when you work your location out from the positions of the GPS, you also get a 3-point coordinate in a Cartesian space. And those Cartesian points form a sphere if you happen to be on the surface of the Earth. So that's my explanation of how GPS
Didn't answer my
shows
question.
the
Okay,
Earth is
didn't answer my
spherical.
question. What map's used? Getting told about Cartesian systems
You
and
don't need a
coordinate
map.
systems. I'm now answering your response. You said that's all I got to say. You're still talking, it seems. Obviously, not all you got to say. Talking through the top of me is obviously top priority after all you've got to say. Pop yourself on mute while I absolutely rip to shreds what you just said. Coordinate system, you say? What would that be? Latitude and longitude? Rhetorical. Yeah, absolutely would be. What map would we be using? That'd be the Mercator projection, which is flat. And the grid on it comes from elevation angle measurements to Polaris. The latitude and longitude grid also uses the sun for timing. That's angle measurements off a flat Earth. So in GPS, we've got a flat map and a flat coordinate system that's developed with flat measurements to flat angles to the star off a flat baseline. So in order to have the coordinate system in the GPS map that he did not name, he started waffling on about how it was related to a sphere with a coordinate system that was Earth-centric. Really? ECEF, you mean? Also latitude-based. Also utilising flat Earth measurements to Polaris. So I'm going to go with no, because the grid laid down on the map... Go ahead, whoever that is. Is that you, John?
Don't forget the Cartesian coordinate system requiring
I was getting there.
That's flat plane. Oh, pardon
No,
me.
you say it. You've
Sorry.
said it. You've said it. You go ahead. 'Cause otherwise, one of us won't. You've said it. Go ahead.
Right. The Cartesian coordinate system involves, the 4 directions, and that's 3. Well, let's see, not 4 directions. I'm sorry, 6 directions: up, down, forward, back, left, right. But those are all planes intersecting.
Yeah, and they intersect in a Cartesian manner on the grid of the Mercator projection, which is flat. There is absolutely no reference whatsoever in this system so far to a globe. At all. So when he just told the audience, well, that makes it all globe-shaped, the coordinate system, liar, or ignorant, I don't know which, maybe we'll find out, who cares, he's wrong. No, the grid system's flat. The coordinate system, the Cartesian system, he named it, that's flat. The map's flat. The measurements to give you the grid are flat. The angles to the stars are flat. Everything about this is flat. What are you babbling about? You thought this was a globe proof, other than you just saying the coordinate system is globe-shaped. There was nothing globe-shaped in this. And that was a baseless assertion, because nothing actually tallies with a globe-shaped grid. It isn't. The Mercator's not bloody globe-shaped. And you didn't answer my question. I asked you what map it was using. You didn't tell us. I had to put this in after asking you, the claimant, who obviously didn't know or chose to just affirm that it's sphere-shaped grids when it isn't. So I think we're done with this claim. This is garbage. This doesn't prove a sphere. This, in fact, proves a flat Earth. On screen now for my audience, live, 100 of you. Woohoo, 100 watching. An elevation angle, what is used to create the grid, to Polaris, has a flat baseline. You can't get this angle any other way. It's got 90 degrees below Polaris. That's what developed the grid he was appealing to, being sphere-shaped. Bloody liar. Or ignorant, we don't really know.
I was just going to say that. You can't have a spherical grid. Is he insane?
He's just a globe-believing numpty who asserts things that he doesn't understand. Grid that's sphere-shaped? Cartesian sphere-shaped grid? What, on the Mercator that's flat? No, obviously dumb, obviously here to deceive the audience, obviously here to affirm his own bloody sphere belief that's wrong based on stupid information that he's got wrong. So what have you got to say for yourself, given how wrong you were about your sphere-shaped grid on the Mercator projection that's flat?
Oh, my go? Yep. Sorry, Nathan, if you finished. Yep. So, quick recap. So the equation of a sphere in Cartesian coordinates with the origin of 0 is x squared plus y squared plus z squared equals r squared. GPS coordinates in ECF are x, y, z coordinates, and you can take your x, y, z coordinate, square the coordinates, take the square root, absolute value of the square root, and you'll get your effective radius from the center. That is how GPS coordinates work. They're x, y, z coordinates. Lat long is something that comes if you want to translate it to a map projection, typically, or use lat long coordinates. But the whole GPS system is built around x, y, z ECF coordinates. 3 orthogonal planes. One
Understand
is
that that's not curving. X, Y, Z coordinate systems are not curving. Do you understand that?
no, they're not correct.
They're intersecting planes. Good. Now, where's your plane of reference so you can describe this sphere?
So there are 3 planes of reference. One is on the 0 meridian. One is on the equator.
One's a vertical, right? That's what you're going to be describing. One of them.
No, so these planes
correct?
all intersect at the center of the Earth. All these planes intersect at the center of the
Sorry,
Earth.
are we measuring
One
from
is
the
on the-
centre of... Sorry, this is a reference plane.
Yeah. So the GPS
Sorry,
reference
are we
plane has 3.
referencing the centre of Earth?
Yes.
No, we're not. Nobody's in the centre of Earth to reference it. I've got the description of that meridian measurement now, and the guy standing on a plane to measure it with respect to the meridian itself with a star is on a flat plane. That's where the guy's actually measuring the angle from, isn't he? The guy actually measures an angle for this, doesn't he? It's on screen for my audience,
But
by the way.
where does the meridian plane
Excuse
go?
me.
Thank you, Mr.
Excuse me. Excuse me. It is on screen for my audience, and we've got the meridian labelled, the horizon labelled, the star labelled, and the azimuth labelled. And it's an angle measurement by a guy. Now, he is not standing in the centre of hell. He is standing on a flat plane. Reference it. It's a reference
where can I
plane.
see your screen,
It's
Nathan?
a reference plane. Got to reference it. What do you mean it's in the centre of bloody hell? Are you having me on? Are you having me on?
So,
are you having a laugh? Are we going to reference the centre of hell? Like on my diagram when there's a guy standing on a plane to measure an angle to a star. That can't come from the centre of hell. Are you having me on? Are you having me on? Are you joking? Are you moronic? Are you stupid? Or are you just delusional?
Hey man, stop being so upset.
Shut this guy up. Shut the White Knight up immediately. Shut the White Knight up. Are you having me on? We cannot reference a plane in hell.
The reference
plane.
Somebody, that G equals MC guy, please can you just remove him from the call immediately? Thank you. We cannot reference anything in the centre of Earth. It's not referenceable as a plane in hell. Number one, in the centre of a molten iron core isn't a bloody reference plane, even if I assumed I could go to the centre of hell. That's not a reference plane. That's you in the middle of a bloody presupposed sphere. How are you getting a reference plane out of being in hell? You're not. What you are doing is measuring with respect to a reference plane, meaning we'll reference it like this guy on a flat plane, in my example, for meridian. Are you having me on? Why are you telling me that we're referencing planes in hell?
Well, maybe hell. That's your belief. That's not.
You said it. My belief. You've just told me we get this reference plane from the centre of hell. You're telling me it's my smegging belief. Now you've claimed it. How dare you? No, it is absolutely unequivocally your garbage belief in your stupid religious belief in a sphere. That is not my belief. You just told over 100 people that you get a reference plane from the centre of hell. That's what you told me. You think you're a butterlist to tell me it's my belief? No. Where'd you get this reference plane? That's what's required. From hell is the answer from you. Not my bloody belief. What the hell's going on? Why would you, number one, claim you can get a flat reference plane? That's a flat Earth we actually measure to reference, by the way. Our flat Earth proof, by the way. Why, when we prove you need to measure a reference plane to reference it, do you tell me that we've got to go to hell? We can't get a reference plane from hell. This is idiotic. It's not my belief. Number two, compound question. Why in golly God would you tell me that what you've just asserted about the acquisition of a reference plane is my belief? It isn't. It's your stupid globe belief. And in order to fulfill your stupid globe belief, you believe you can get a reference plane from the centre of Earth. No, sunshine, you're not in the centre of Earth, and even if you were burning and writhing in hell, it wouldn't give you a flat plane to reference. Are you dumb? Are you stupid? Cat got your tongue. Are you idiotic?
Oh, sorry, I didn't realise. Can I have a crack now?
A crack? I've got a specific question. Are you stupid? You've asserted we can get a reference plane in the centre of Earth.
You can make a reference plane in any arbitrary space that you like.
No, we're measuring stuff. We're measuring Earth. This isn't frigging arbitrary. You think we're in arbitrary debate? Did you forget where you are?
It's arbitrary.
Did you forget where you are? Did you forget that you were trying to prove the surface of Earth is spherical? Suddenly, when the surface of Earth isn't referenceable for a globe believer, and what you have told us you'll actually reference is in hell, suddenly we can get our reference arbitrarily. We are measuring Earth. That's going to get corrected. I am Nathan Oakley. I am a flat earther, and I understand that a reference plane that we do reference with respect to the ground is flat and is definitely not in the centre of hell and is definitely not arbitrary. We're measuring Earth. But like every predictable globe-believing fundy in the last 4 months, the moment we must reference a flat Earth, suddenly it becomes arbitrary. What, because I won't accept that you're getting a reference plane from hell, we can get one from anywhere arbitrarily when we're measuring Earth? Get out. It's not arbitrary. This was a flat Earth debate until it went into La La Land arbitrary ascribing reference planes. No, we reference them. Part of reference, do you think, is arbitrary? Get out. Just here to deceive people.
And if he thinks that a reference plane is arbitrary, then he has just decried his own evidence. So he doesn't have anything. You believe it's arbitrary?
That reference plane that was formerly proving we had a globe-shaped Earth is suddenly arbitrary, so he's got nothing to reference to prove his bloody surface is curving. Yeah, he's immediately lost. Uncool Ben, shout out for the super chat. Next! Absolutely, get out! Deceiving my audience with spherical-shaped grids that definitely aren't referenced to the plane that they've been measured with respect to. No, my friend. And what's the next lie that we're going to have to suffer from this guy? That I believe that we get reference planes from hell? What bleeding outrage. The minute it becomes a fantasy reference plane that we cannot acquire, it's my flat Earth belief. What an outrage. Can the audience not understand my totally justifiable fury? No, you can't reference a plane. You haven't got one. But we definitely need one. It's definitely referenced, and it's definitely flat. And what are we doing with it? Oh, we're navigating Earth with it. When it's a globe-shaped Earth, we're going to be needing that flat reference in hell because it's arbitrary and nothing to do with the surface anymore, because we're going to need a flat Earth for it. And if you believe that we get reference planes from hell, as I've just asserted, it's merely your belief. These people piss me off royally. Earth is measured flat at the point that he absolutely unequivocally requires a flat plane to reference. He loses. He's lost. Earth's got to
There
be
is
measured
no
flat, and he
flat
measured
plane
it.
required,
But he
Nathan.
didn't have one on the surface, so he goes to hell to get it. That's where he went. And on screen now for my audience is what we actually do. We measure with respect to a plane, because we're measuring angles off a plane. We're not measuring in hell.
Why do I need to measure an angle to get a GPS fix?
You told me about the process.
Yeah, I measure distances.
And none of it referenced globe. We've just gone through this with you. Nothing you utilised references sphere beyond your imaginary globe that you insert.
So I measure 3 distances, or 4 distances I need actually, 4 distances to 4 points in space.
In
I
orbit?
can work out
Sorry,
the
we already
intersection of those
smashed this.
distances.
Sorry, rinse and repeat much? So, are they in space in orbit? Pretty sure we covered this, did we not? Flat plane of reference needed for your Keplerian orbital motion. I'm pretty sure we did smash this into the middle of next week right at the beginning. But what a surprise. He's been knocked into the middle of next week and then got himself a little time-travelling respawn button, because obviously we didn't hear about things being in orbital motion in space at the beginning of this claim and absolutely smashed the living daylights out of it. So we need to hear it again, do we, Dumbo?
No, you're only hearing
Mate,
what
you
you're
piss me off
saying.
royally.
You don't
That's
hear
not
what
your
anybody
invitation to
else
talk to
says.
me. It's my invitation to tell you to sod off.
I don't care.
Well, then get lost. I'm furious with you because you've told me your reference plane in hell is my belief. That pissed me off royally. No, it's your smegging belief, mate. You believe you've got a reference plane. That means it's referenceable. And where is it again for you on your globe? In hell? Not referenceable? Yes, because it doesn't work on a globe surface, mate. Angles don't come from hell. Oh, they do when you have to superimpose the angles we actually acquire in reality into a globe model that isn't going to be acquiring anything from hell. But that's where you went and then told me it was my belief, pissing me off royally. Now I don't want to talk to you anymore. How dare you force your belief of measurements of planes in hell on me? And then ask me about how orbits work so you can reposition your already defeated claim about things being measured in space? What, satellites in orbit? Yeah, we've done this, dickhead. Now you can bugger off, because it seems obvious now you've already done it that all you'll do is go through the same crap again. Next!
I must say, you're very entertaining.
Piss
I
off,
was
get
pretty good
lost,
last week. I
remove this
spoke
guy
to
from
you.
my
You probably
presence. I
don't-
don't want to talk to him anymore. All we got now is a string of ad homs. I'm very entertaining. I've just told you how much you piss me off. And what are you going to do? Try and wind me up by telling me how much I amuse you? You are pathetic. And you have projected your ineptitude onto me. Now I'm going to mock you. You've got a pathetic globe belief, and you superimpose that which must be referenced into hell. That's how pathetic you are. What, and I'm amusing to you while I point out that you can't get a reference from hell? Why would I need one? Yeah, you need one because it's referenced.
Instead
What do you
of
mean amuse? Like a clown?
instead of projecting those angles out to the surface of his sphere belief, he projected them onto you and said that was silly.
Infuriating. Gotta be honest. Even more infuriating when they're allowed to just keep going round in the same circle over and over again. And they know that they're going to do it. I'll just ignore every word he's just said and then start again. No one will notice.
He actually called you a clown. He said you amuse him.
Yeah, because that's what they've got. In his mind, I'm just here to entertain him. He's not getting an education from me. Every word I say is going to be completely ignored. Anyway, shout out to the super chatter. Who was it? Uncle Ben. Thank you very much. Your timing's epic.
I think I did hear him say, though, you're not listening to him. You're only talking or something. In other words, you're not listening to his claim, Nathan.
Yeah, we've heard it all before.
Yeah, they just want to chant.
If I wasn't listening to his claim, then how did I know where his claim came from?
Brian's logic.
Yeah, I called Brian, but I don't know if he came in yet.
Yeah, Brian's obviously triggered a few fundies. He's put out a video explaining how it doesn't work on a spherical surface, as they assert it to start from that. When they assert that they've got a orbital motion, which Brian's happy to assume on their behalf, and show them how it don't work when you assume they've got orbital motion. I dealt with that immediately, knowing full well that the guy would rinse and repeat his way back to his orbital motion, so he can start with an assumption of a sphere. Well, once we deal with orbital motion that needs a flat Earth, you haven't got a sphere to start with, have you? You've got a flat Earth to start with. We dealt with that immediately. Where's he going to go from there? Oh, well, no, we're starting with a sphere that we assume as orbital motion. No, the sphere in the orbital motion you assume came from a flat Earth measurement. Need to do this 5 more times with you. No, I'm not going to do it. I'll just ask the mods to get rid of you. Yeah? Rinsing and repeating is something I'm sick of.
What's a flat
Even
Earth
the
measurement?
appeal to the center of mass requires a flat plane, because you would need to measure the circumference of Earth, or the radius value of Earth. I'm sorry, the radius of Earth.
Good point. I should have went there. That would have been a lot quicker. Well done. You're going to assert you're starting with the centre of mass of a centre of a sphere. Then where are you going to get that centre from? Oh, well, from a radial value. Where are you going to get the radial value from? Oh, we're just going to measure angles to Polaris at their minimum. You know, when we stop seeing it, that'll be the outside edge of a circle on a flat plane, based on the angles that will increase as we move towards it. That'll give us a latitude grid on a flat plane. We can use that to make a sphere.
I thought I heard him say something about the radius.
Yeah, centre of Earth. I just missed it. John caught it. I didn't. I mean, obviously I heard him say it, but I didn't link it back to, well, you'll need... Should have really... Maybe it would have benefited me to ask all the housekeeping questions at the start of the session. Any evidence of the R value? Oh, you'll need a flat Earth for that. It just slipped me by. I'm not perfect.
In 2024, we know now that you can't derive anything without it coming from a flat plane of reference. If you're going to talk about measurements, right?
Guy had already been obliterated and had his flat Earth assumptions pointed out in many different instances. However, the first instance of I can assume that we've already got a spherical surface for GPS to operate from, well, no, you can't. To get the spherical surface with a centre, you need a radius. You can't go to the centre of L to get it. Where did you get it? From a flat Earth measurement? Of course you did. He was smashed before that anyway.
And
He would
then
have been the icing on the cake if he'd have been here to hear it.
And then affirm that the measurement or the calculation you've done affirms the radius, based from the radius to begin with.
Yeah.
And we did have another person butt into the middle of that. I don't know if you heard it, but their question was, what is a flat Earth measurement? So who was that?
That was me.
In this case, elevation angle. In this case, elevation angle specifically.
I mean, conceptually, though, what does flat Earth measurement mean?
It's not conceptual, it's physical. We're taking measurements in reality. It's not conceptual. An elevation angle measurement is with respect to the horizontal plane that you're standing on.
So any measurement taken with respect to a horizontal plane?
Let's try this a third time.
Flat Earth measurement?
Let's try this for a third time. An elevation angle measurement specifically in this instance.
Trying to understand the class of the term you're using, the category. What does it mean when you utter those words? I understand that you have an example of it, but I don't know what the notion of a flat Earth measurement is.
You don't know what an elevation angle is?
I understand what an elevation angle is.
What is
and
this?
you're appealing to it
Okay,
as
what
an
is
instance
it?
of a flat Earth
Okay,
measurement.
I'm just talking to one guy. You understand what an elevation angle is? Please, can you define it by citation? Please, can you give us a definition with a citation, not just what you think it is, please?
I don't think I'll be able to give you a citation off the top of my head here.
Oh, I've got 20 in front of me.
Well, it seems like you focus on this particular topic more than
because
I
I
would,
obviously
so you
get
have
people like you asking me what a flat Earth measurement is, and I'm well prepared to deal with that question. I mean, you could keep talking while I'm answering you. Obviously, this middle of my sentence is your turn to talk. Middle of my sentence is obviously interrupting the start of yours. As I just started to tell you, I'm well prepared for people to ask me the question you've asked, and I'm well prepared for answers. You've told me you understand what an elevation angle is, so I think rather than reading one of the 20 that I've got written in front of me, I'm going to ask you to define it.
Okay. Can I make an attempt and see if it matches one of your criteria closely enough that we can have a conversation, or you can correct me after I've made my attempt.
Do you know
I'm
what a
not claiming that it
citation
is some
is? Do you
universal
know what a
truth.
citation is?
I do know what a citation is.
Could you do
yes.
that?
Can I do it?
Yeah, I've
mean, we're
told
gonna
you
have to
what the
stop the
flat Earth
conversation
measurement
while I
is.
go
I've
look
told
it
you
up
that it's
then
an
in a
elevation
minute.
angle measurement, and you've told me that you understand what that is. I'm like, all right, can you just get us a citation? Presumably, you'll know a few keywords to type into Google in the middle of this discussion. It would take you a few keystrokes, and then you'd be there, right? And you'd know what it was because you'd know you'd found it immediately because you already know what it is. Then you could offer it to me
He's
with
not
quote marks
challenging.
around it and say, here's my cited quote. And it does surprisingly match exactly what I thought it was. And it's by this particular source, so I'll name it at the end of it. Now, if you can't do that, do you think I want to hear what you think it is? Definitely not.
He's not challenging
We
the
got Khan
elevation angle.
Academy
He's
here.
challenging your
Angles of elevation
understanding
and
of measurement.
depression. When you see an object above you, there's an angle of elevation between the horizon and your line of sight. And it has a little graph here in which there's a flat line and then an object listed above another point on that flat line, which is labeled as you, and an angle between the two.
Okay, so you've got a flat line between you and the horizon in the diagram.
Yep.
Welcome to Flat Earth. Not falling away at 8 inches per mile squared, absolutely unequivocally requiring the Earth that we're measuring is flat because we have a angle requiring it to be.
Okay.
Did you think that the middle of my sentence required you to start affirming that which you didn't formally understand because you've just demonstrated how an angle measurement with respect to the horizon with a diagram showing a flat plane meeting that angle measurement would require that we measure Earth as a flat plane?
That was going to be identical effectively to the definition I was going to give, but you wanted a citation.
Sorry, you'd preferred that you gave me your ideas of what it was rather than you citing it and it proving that we're measuring Earth flat.
I don't necessarily care. Just want to move
Well,
on to
what
the
you've just defined, if you don't care, will be reiterated by my definition by sustainable by design. Hopefully without you, with your mic open, waiting for your turn to talk through the top of me. The angle, sometimes referred to solar elevation angle, describes how the sun appears in the sky. The angle is measured between an imaginary line between the observer and the sun and the horizontal plane the observer is standing on. That's sustainable by design when detailing an altitude angle, otherwise known as an elevation angle. Yours described how we get a straight, flat baseline between us and the horizon. Yeah, flat Earth required. Hope you understand now that that's a measurement. There's you in the middle of my statement, just waiting for your turn to talk, it seems. I'll ask for thank yous at the end of my statement, hopefully that isn't interrupted. That would be you affirming by citation, not by the ideas you thought about what they might be. By citation, Earth must be measured flat. It's a measurement, an angle measurement, with respect to a flat baseline, reference plane, the one we're standing on. It's Earth that we're measuring, it's not conceptual, it's a flat Earth measurement. Flat Earth prerequisite wouldn't be an angle if it was anything other than a flat Earth. So I hope you understand that Earth has been measured flat with this angle that you cited specifically as having to be flat to be able to measure it. Hope we're all clear. You may thank me now.
None of that logically follows, right?
It's the definition you read out.
That's fine, but that doesn't follow that you necessarily have a flat Earth. And I'm not disputing the claim about flat Earth yet. I'm just saying that's not a logical step that you can take at the moment.
So it's a measurement. It's not a logical inference. If you're done talking, I'll just reply to you. It wasn't anything logical. It was an angle measurement with respect to the flat Earth you're standing on, as per the definition and as per your citation. Now, if the Earth was curving away, logically speaking, we wouldn't get a friggin' angle from it. We wouldn't have a straight line between us and the horizon because the horizon in your stupid Earth curve fantasy falls away from you. Now, meanwhile, we're using the horizon to establish a horizontal plane of reference in your example. Earth must be flat, otherwise we wouldn't have a straight line. It can't be curved, and it wouldn't be the ground if it was curved, and it wouldn't be an angle anymore. So while you say it doesn't, logically follow that this straight flat line is a straight flat line, it is... And there isn't any logical inference. It's a bleeding measurement of Earth flat. I hope that's clear now.
I'm not going to fight on that point because I want to get back to my
That's
first
because
question
you've lost.
of what is...
Sorry, unless you were trying to claim there was a bloody sphere attached to this flat Earth measurement.
That's okay.
Sorry, elevation
I'm
angle
only
measurement, in answer
interested-
to your question before you yammer through the top of the end conclusion.
interrupted
to
the
this
middle of
point.
my
This
sentence
is the
to
end
yours.
conclusion, not you yammering. The end conclusion is How do we measure Earth flat, you ask? Well, now you've gone and got a citation and you understand. Angle measurements with respect to a flat Earth could only be with respect to a flat Earth. Otherwise, they wouldn't be angles. And we wouldn't have 90 degree below things that we're measuring with elevation angle measurements unless Earth was flat, because then the line below the point you're measuring wouldn't meet the ground at 90. And it does. That's what an elevation angle measurement's achieving when you put it into effect with celestial navigation and the methods that we use to map the ground, like latitude. 90 degrees below Polaris with a flat straight line that you defined between us and it. That's us measuring Earth flat. It's not a logical inference. It's a measurement of Earth.
Could I answer his first question?
Yeah, sure.
He's asking what a measurement is. And it's when you take a conceptual mathematical unit, or geometrical, it can be a mathematical or geometrical unit, and apply it to an aspect of reality. In this case, horizontal is the mathematical unit, and it is applied to level in reality. Level is how you describe horizontally from your viewpoint. Horizontal is objectively what is measured.
Yeah. I answered his question. He didn't like it.
So, MPX, just for your reference, in the chat, at 56 minutes past the hour, we have a picture of an elevation angle, as you've described, yeah?
There's one on screen for my audience.
There?
It's been up the whole time since the guy mentioned
you need
meridians.
to assert a horizontal line and then measure the angle between that. You assert a horizontal line and measure.
So if we're measuring on the surface of the Earth, and we're establishing a horizontal line, where are you establishing the horizontal line on a sphere, on a curving surface?
Where do you establish a horizontal line on an imperfect surface that's not necessarily perfectly level or smooth?
You detailed it. You used the horizon. You did in your citation. Why are you asking us this? You just read it out.
That's fine. That's a projection.
Okay, shut up.
You're changing your definition midstream.
Shut up.
No, sir, we are not. If you'll listen to what I said, horizontal is the mathematical description. The thing we're applying it to is where surface level meets the sky, and you're missing it. The aspect of reality we apply horizontal to is level. That's what makes it a measurement. How do you not know this?
I do know this. I'm a mechanical engineer by training.
Oh, you do know this, but you're denying it.
Perfectly smooth. Surfaces are not perfectly smooth. You have
not measuring for smoothness. We're not building on it. We're navigating with it.
By that definition, by that basic fact, you have to pick several points in which you can establish some notion of horizontal and then project that as a plane outwards and or a line depending on the nature of the measurement that you're enacting at that particular point.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're projecting that. It's the horizontal or level is going to be an imaginary plane or line.
Wait, we're measuring ground positions with this.
Sea level?
Sorry, yeah, he's talking about sea level. Yeah, we're measuring ground positions.
Whatever level.
Sorry, you know what a ground position is?
That's a position where you are on a particular surface.
No.
The ground.
No. Position where you are? No.
Would you
So you don't know. I thought you knew this being a mechanical... Excuse me. I thought you knew this being a mechanical engineer and all. So you don't know what a GP is.
I'm actually doing celestial navigation, but that's fine.
So being a mechanical engineer, your appeal to authority was just a fallacy then, because it has no relevance to navigation and mapping. Nevertheless, you don't know what a GP is. You just described it as a position with respect to you. Your position? No. You don't know then. Okay, no worries. Shout out to Unitox Femu, who says, he speaks about distances. Okay, how much drop over distance will we have on 10 miles if distance are correct then? Example in reality, please. There isn't. It's just described an elevation angle, Unitox Femu. And as I've got detailed on screen right now, this is how elevation angle measurements are utilised with 90 degrees at ground positions. They're below the position you're measuring. And to have 90 degrees to a ground position at 90 degrees to your position below the star you're measuring, Earth must be flat. because it's a ground position you're measuring. What was that? Maybe we'll be told it's not the ground or it's conceptual or some other shit.
He tried to claim that level was conceptual. That's the aspect of reality we
Level is
apply horizontal to.
Yeah, and we've got ground positions
Level is
on
not
it.
conceptual.
Yeah, we got ground
Level's not
positions on it.
conceptual.
Ground positions.
Okay. Somehow these words escape the notion of a
So you don't know what these words mean. Go away. You're done.
I
Did you
mean-
not understand? Sorry, you're not going to yammer through me while I berate you after that little outburst. No, you don't know what these words mean. You think being a mechanical engineer puts you in, what, intellectual superiority above us? No, it does not.
No.
Your appeal was crap. Shut your mouth. You're being told off. You don't understand that? You appealed to your mechanical engineering and then didn't know what a GP was. Why? Because it's got no bleeding relevance to what you know in mechanical engineering. But you think you're smart and therefore appealing to your education in mechanical engineering is going to help you with GPs. It didn't. Now you're getting told off by a flat earther for your stupidity. On screen for my live audience, that's 130 people listening to you, a moron with his mic wide open, getting berated. We've got ground positions.
Letting you know.
Shut up! You're getting told off, globe-believing idiot. How belligerent do you want to be? Understand this, mechanical engineer. Ground positions are 90 degree to your position on the ground. You appeal to conceptualizations? What, because you've got mechanical engineering behind you to back it? No, mate. We're detailing ground positions. You defined what an elevation angle is, and it's with respect to the ground. You defined it with a horizon. What, the point where the ground appears to meet the sky? Yeah, we're definitely dealing with the ground, Dumbo. And it's definitely flat when we measure elevation angles like you defined them to be. Now I've got a demonstration on screen for my 132 people listening to this. A demonstration of how this is actually put into practical application with 3 90-degree positions to the measurement point, which is where you're standing on a flat plane, as I defined it by sustainable by design. You're standing on a flat plane to take the measurement. You're getting 90 degrees on the ground, potentially thousands of miles away from the measurement position. It's requiring a flat Earth to do this. It's the end of the argument. That's how we measure flat Earth. Hope you understand. We're not measuring for smoothness, by the way. That's a very different type of measurement that you've got a misapprehension about. Maybe it's because you're confusing your mechanical engineering and its requirement for flatness in terms of when you design an item. We're not doing that. Yeah? Your education didn't help you here. You thought everything was about, what, how you measure flatness? No, we're measuring angles, clown shoes. Now bugger off with your crap education that didn't help you here. You annoy me greatly. Now you've been berated by a flat earther for your stupidity, you can sod off.
Even his appeal to the conceptual unit, right, is still wrong because horizontal is the conceptual unit. Level, you will judge something's level with respect to that. You're still describing a flat earth. You're just describing a flat earth with topology. Still flat. The baseline that you will describe that topology from is still flat. How is that a globe? It's not.
Just people who want to lord it over us. I've got a mechanical engineering degree. Obviously, I'm going to be smarter than all these flat earthers. I'll go in and tell them all about how navigation works. What's a GP again? Something to do with you and your position? I'm thinking no.
May I have a couple of replies? I don't intend to contest any of the points you brought up.
Well, then welcome to flat earth.
My only reason.
Well, then welcome to flat earth. Welcome. I'm responding to what you've just said. You're inviting me to allow you. I understand you now. You've accepted your subservient position here. Yeah, well, the invite isn't followed by you carrying on yammering. No, first I'll welcome you to flat earth. You understand the principles of measuring an elevation angle. That's with respect to ground positions, earth, horizons in your example that you defined. Yeah, that's measuring earth flat. Welcome to flat earth.
Okay. May I respond? Right. I'll take the quietness as permission.
Well, I was going to first state, if you don't have a rebuttal to the elevation angles, well, then Nathan's point is, welcome to flat Earth. So we're not
That's
really going to
fine.
move on to another subject about how the Earth could be a globe until we
Um,
tackle elevation
I
angles.
am
Yeah.
trying to get to my first question, but first,
Yep.
I just want to make clear, I'm not asserting that I have a mechanical engineering degree to somehow be superior in any way, shape, or form. I'm not interested in that. I think doing
Why'd you
so is
bloody
cringe.
mention it then?
All I'm trying
Why'd you
to
bloody
assert,
mention it then?
because I'm just trying to assert that I've had a lot of
What your
time
superiority
invested.
intellectually, like I asserted. So
No,
there was no point in you
no, I'm just
mentioning it.
trying to.
There was no point in you
May I please
mentioning it.
finish my sentence?
Why did you bring it up?
I'm trying to tell you that, but you're interrupting me. The reason I bring it up is to just let you know that I've spent a lot of time engaging with the notion of level, angles, and relative measures. If you have issues with anything I say, you can tell me. I'm more than happy to try to come to an understanding. I am not in any way, shape, or form trying to demonstrate superiority.
Yeah, you are.
Now
You're
that I
trying to
have that out of
demonstrate
the
that you've
way,
got superiority in the specific things you just detailed because of your education background. Yet when I asked you what a GP, which is specifically in relation to angle measurements on Earth, you didn't know what they were. So in spite of your appeal, excuse me, I'm rebutting your garbage appeal to your own superiority intellectually speaking because of your understanding of angles and stuff. They didn't help you here though, did they? That appeal to your intellectual superiority with your understanding of angles didn't help you when it came to a GP position, did it?
that's because it's not related to my first question whatsoever.
No, it was related to my rebuttal
So
because you asked me how we measure Earth flat, and the reply you got wasn't in any
No, I
way
did not ask
assisted
that.
by your education status. That's my point.
I asked what the definition of a flat Earth measurement was, and we've continued to go into examples.
No, I gave you an
still
answer. I
unclear
said
about
elevation angle. Don't tell me that I went into some bloody example. I told you very specifically.
No.
I used the words very specifically an elevation angle measurement in this instance, end quote me.
I understand that.
So you
If that's the
understand?
definition you'd
So
like to
you
use,
understand then?
Then a flat Earth measure is an elevation angle and nothing else, which I don't think you believe.
Incorrect.
I know it's
No, I
incorrect.
give
That's
you
why
the
I'm asking you,
definition.
what do you mean by flat Earth measure? Because I know there's more to this concept than you're trying to put, than what you've said thus far. Excuse me.
I give you what it was, and you conceded that's what it was. Level and horizontal, horizontal being the conceptual unit, level being the aspect of reality we apply it to, aka the horizon where sea level appears to meet the sky.
Yeah, he wasn't listening.
Horizontal
shush.
is the conceptual unit, and the notion of level is the aspect of reality through which we apply that. That's a flat Earth
Yes.
measurement.
No, all measurements. All measurements are that.
Okay.
But in this case, we're applying horizontal to level so that we can communicate back and forth. That's what a measurement's for, is so I can communicate the information I have taken in to you. You understand that?
And how did we measure that in your example that you defined? Was it with the horizon?
Level's horizontal.
Was it with the horizon?
Yes. Yeah.
No, I'm asking him so he can understand this.
In this particular example, you chose the horizon.
No,
which is fine.
No. You chose that.
You asked me for a citation.
And you cited something, not me. You gave it. You just asserted that I gave that. No, you gave
horizontal.
that. No. It seems like when I'm challenging something that you've brought up, I'm challenging you, mate. You don't need to keep talking.
I mean,
you don't need to keep talking. It's not going to get us away from this point, no matter how hard you try. Eventually, I'll get the mods to shut you up if you can't. No, mate, you just asserted it at my door. No, I very, very specifically made you go and define it now, didn't I? You chose the citation. You read it out. It's yours. And when you defined how that measurement took place, it very specifically involved the point where the ground appears to meet the sky in your definition of this measurement, didn't it?
That's what I was
Nick, hold on, John. John.
I've posted the picture.
Just
of the
looking for the word yes.
I'm looking for the word.
No, you're looking for the word yes because it absolutely was in your citation that you got. The horizon was used. Yes is the answer you're looking for. Don't need to weasel away from it. Don't be a weasel.
Promise I'm not trying to weasel.
So
I think when you're
the
measuring
horizon was
celestial
used
objects,
in
you're gonna
your
use the
citation.
horizon.
So
We mentioned that later,
So just
yes.
looking for an
That was not
affirmation,
part of
because
my
I'll be
citation.
continuing when I get one, and we won't be going anywhere until I do. So just looking for an affirmation to my closed question. The horizon was used in your, not my, citation.
No,
No?
correct. I posted my citation in the chat.
Sorry, when you detailed it, you told me there was a picture and it had a horizon.
Is it horizontal?
Am I missing something here? Do I have to go and play his own words back to him?
Potentially.
He thinks the flat
No, I
Earth
believe
measurements
that
are
you
that
were asked for
directly.
the. Hang on, MPX. You were asked for the citation. The citation that you gave a straight line to the horizon, I believe, were the exact words.
Right, it's getting dangerously
really
close
the
to me
case,
calling.
I'm more than
Stop!
happy to
Stop!
eat my words.
Stop! It's getting dangerously close to me
I
calling
don't
you a
believe it
liar.
was.
So I'll try this once more. Your citation used the horizon. Yes?
My citation
Yes, Nathan.
does not
Yes, it
actively
did.
use a horizon.
Don't mimic him.
If I
He's
use that
he's
word,
umming and
that's
ahhing,
fine.
and I want to hear him. Everyone else, shut
It's
up.
going to be required for celestial navigation, and I will happily concede that. You'll place a flat line towards the horizon and measure an angle of elevation to a celestial object. That's perfectly fine.
And it's the ground we're measuring in your citation. It used the horizon. Yes? That's the fifth time.
You project a line out to the horizon, yes.
So we're measuring Earth, and in your citation, we're using the horizon, and ipso
No.
facto, you're not going to get to interrupt me winning, mate. Yeah, I'll keep it here all
Well,
day.
you're not measuring the
You
Earth.
are interrupting me, triggered globe-believing fundy. I'll try that once more. In your citation, the
made
one that
any
you tried to
comments about
weasel
globe.
away from and still are trying to weasel away from by chanting through the top of my conclusion, it very much measured Earth as a horizontal reference with the horizon in your citation. Ipso facto flat. Wouldn't
What
be an
part of the
angle
Earth?
measurement if it... That is now the sixth attempt. I'm just going to close my Discord line temporarily so I can appeal to my audience. So, audience, when it comes to a triggered, self-aggrandizing moron having his own example of how an elevation angle measurement is utilizing Earth for the measurement, which must be flat, I will have to make 6. This is now the 7th attempts with the line closed to the Discord server so I can communicate that fact to you, the audience, because this triggered zealot with a globe belief cannot accept it in 7 attempts to put to him his own words that I very specifically made him go and get when we started this little wrangle-dangle. Now, I appreciate when this guy entered the discussion, he thought he was the smartest man in the room and was quite keen to tell us just how smart he was when it came to this subject, wasn't he? Now he's a triggered zealot interrupting me 6 times. Now I'm going to berate that fundy zealot for his zealotry. Yo, globe-believing idiot! Your example proved a flat Earth. It answered your question about how we very specifically, as per your example, measure Earth flat. Now, I appreciate that's very triggering, and you thought you were going to be lording it over us when you got in here today. But you're not. What is happening is me, a flat earther called Nathan Oakley with absolutely justifiable righteous indignation, berating you and pointing out how you have offered us the silver bullets of flat earth measurements in your citations. Glad we didn't get to hear your nonsense about what you thought about this and your appeals to your intellectual superiority because of your mechanical garbage that doesn't actually help you here. What actually happened was you gave us quite a good flat earth proof and you accepted it. But then when it came to the conclusion of us demonstrating beyond all doubt that you definitely understand how we measure Earth flat, it took 6 attempts for me to make this conclusion. And it took me having to berate you in the middle of it, so you shut your mouth while I did so. Now, hopefully, if you haven't picked up on it yet, You are in the subservient, ignorant position of not really understanding how the Earth is measured and having to be dragged through hedges backwards, kicking and screaming and interrupting because you don't like your own examples being read back to you, and you'll happily lie about that which you've cited on the 4th attempt of me asking you to confirm that you used the horizon. You answered no. I had to threaten you with getting your own bloody words played back to you. You had to have a mod tell you what you said when you lied about that very fact that we are measuring Earth flat in your example that you cited. You don't have to like it. You're definitely not the smartest man in the room. What you do have in smarts wasn't useful to you, and you did end up getting berated for your stupidity by me, a flat earther who definitely knew more about all this than you did. Hope that's clear.
And when you measure spectrum,
Say again,
Would you
John?
like him off mute, Nathan, or you want him left on?
I don't want
Would
to.
you
I
like
don't
a
need
response?
anything from him. What do I need? Him to start lying about what he referenced?
No, just asking you the question.
Right.
He's on mute.
I don't know. Maybe John wants him. Go ahead, John.
well, the definition he gave wasn't accurate. The measurement with the sextant is not an elevation angle until you apply dip correction. And then it becomes an elevation angle. So his definition, where he was trying to invoke a line of sight to the horizon to then apply dip correction to get an elevation angle, well, I would accept it just on as being a measurement. It's not necessarily an elevation angle measurement until you apply dip correction.
Fine. Well, dip correction in and of itself would require that you measure the ground so you know how high you are above that flat plane of reference so you can make the dip correction. I mean, that starts right back at port. And maybe the guy was trying to weasel that in. You're being very preemptive in that particular summation of what just happened because he didn't drop it in. But he might have been that slippery. You never know.
Thank you for
Well,
correcting
he
me
seemed
there. I
educated.
believe
Hold
I've
on,
He
made a
seemed
John.
very
mistake.
Hold on,
educated.
someone else has got. Go ahead, whoever that was.
Just thank you for noting the dip correction. I did neglect to mention that.
A dip correction to a flat plane. It's an angle measurement
Yep.
to a flat plane. Correcting to a flat
So,
plane. The flat plane
I
you're
am-
standing on? Well, if you're not standing on it, you're correcting to that flat plane you should be standing on but aren't, so you correct to it, right?
I am interested to know what.
Don't tell me what
element
you're
Earth we've
interested to
measured.
know. Affirm what I've just put to you. Why are you, a bloody weasel? Why is it every time I put something to you, you start telling me what you want to know?
That's
Did you
why
not
I'm
hear me?
asking a question.
Did you not hear me? I put something to you, son. Did you not hear it? I'll repeat it if you didn't, because I don't want to know what you want to know. Nobody cares what you want to know. I've just put something to you. Now you can either respond to it or get lost.
Well,
Did you hear me
I'm
or not?
responding to an element of what
I
you
don't
said.
care what you want to respond to. I'm putting something now to you. Do you understand what I put to you, or do I need to repeat it?
I believe I've understood. You're welcome to repeat if you would like to.
Go ahead, respond. Feel free if you understood what I said.
Okay. You've noted during your, let's say, discussion on this topic while I was muted that a flat measure or a flat measurement is provided to then subsequently measure to the celestial body.
This is not
You
what I
say
just
you've
put
made
to
a
you.
flat Earth
This
measure.
is not what I just put to you. I put to you that the dip angle correction was correcting to a flat plane. That's what I put to you. So I do have to repeat
Yep.
it because you didn't listen.
That
You
I
didn't
affirm.
actually understand it, and
That's
you're
not
not
a
addressing it
contention.
now. I'm stopping you, and
Great.
you're interrupting incessantly while I correct you.
I
I'll put it to you
affirm
as a
that.
closed question so I can get a yes or no, because it's
I
obvious that
affirm
you yammering through me isn't going to be tolerated. Eventually, you'll be put back on mute so you can moan about it after. I'm talking. That means you aren't. You don't seem to understand. You're not in charge. I am. So when I say shut up and I put something to you, you're going to respond to it. And if you tell me what you are trying to get us to, I don't care. You have been put now the third attempt. Dip correction. We're correcting to a flat plane. Do you understand this? Yes or no?
Yes, I understand, and I've affirmed that for the 4th time because you weren't listening. to
Don't
my
need anything
affirmations.
else. You understand that we, to do this measurement, must correct to a flat plane that
Yes,
is
beautiful. Thank you.
surface level. That's flat.
Okay.
Not okay, that's a measurement of flat Earth. Yeah? We're measuring how high we are off this plane of reference, so we can correct to it later when we do dip correction. He's chanting through me, audience. I automatically knew he would, so I closed my Discord line so I wouldn't be interrupted in the middle of my sentence. Like I told you earlier, when he got to the point where he interrupted me 6 times, in the middle of that sentence, I thought I better close the line in advance, because this chanting zealot's definitely going to interrupt this. He went, okay, not yes, so I can welcome him to Flat Earth. It's not okay for you. You haven't got a flat plane to correct to on a globe. Why would you be correcting to a flat plane, surface level? If the bloody ground is curving, you haven't got that to correct to. You couldn't correct to it. It wouldn't be a plane to have a correction. It wouldn't be an angle. Nothing works in this regard unless Earth is being measured flat. We're measuring our height above the surface level. That's a measurement with respect to surface level, the height above it. So later it can be used, that measurement of height above surface level that must be flat, because it's a surface level measurement. I'm going to be told after this, what, by some dickhead that keeps interrupting, that I don't understand that where the measurement comes in. Surface level, how high you are above it. Yeah, that's what we are going to first measure before we go out to acquire elevation angle measurements. The problem is, if we're out at sea with a sextant rocking all over the bloody place, we've got to use a particular tool called a mariner's sextant. And when you use a mariner's sextant, you're on the deck, you're above the surface level, and you correct to the surface level. Notice how I'm saying level quite a few times. Notice how I'm saying correction with an angle. That's a straight line, not a curved one. Every part of this process is measuring Earth flat. But yeah, what, I've got to tolerate this dickhead yammering through the top of me, pointing that out to him with his own bloody examples. Yeah, we're on dip correction and now we're correcting to a flat plane, surface level, when we're above it, the surface level, and we're measuring it. How high we are above it, surface level. This is measurements. Earth is flat. That stony silence at the end of it was either because the server operator had to mute him because he couldn't shut his mouth while I pointed all that out, and he's probably buggered off in the meantime, for all I know.
No, I muted him. Sorry, Nathan, I didn't get him off in time, so he's right to answer if he would like.
I've affirmed each point that you've made thus far. And I was muted for affirming the statement you wanted me to affirm. I agree.
Sorry, MPX, just let me, I did mute you while you were doing that. I agree. Okay, so just so you know, when Nathan's speaking and he's making that statement, he wants you to wait, and we'd prefer that you waited until he finished what he was saying rather than trying to affirm throughout the conversation, whatever he's saying, because it causes audio chaos for the listeners.
Understood. It happens to Discord sometimes, so I tend to try and...
Anyway, meanwhile, we measure Earth
understood.
flat with elevation angle measurements. I mean, we could go on to this little description after the moderation had to take place because he couldn't shut his bloody mic while I summarised and was going, yeah, through the top of me so no one could hear me in the Discord server. But I'll just summarise it again, hopefully with him muting himself of his own volition, which he hasn't done yet. So we can hear what I've actually got to say and we don't get to discuss how he wasn't on mute the whole time. Maybe he'll keep talking while I point out that his indiscretion's been highlighted and now I'm going to summarise again. We're not going to get away from the fact that we've measured Earth flat. Dip corrections to a flat plane. We're correcting to surface level. Surface level is the level surface. It's the Earth. It's the ground. It's a measurement of that surface level, how high you are above it. Earth is being measured flat. And we're only measuring surface level and how high we are above it, so we can use a mariner's sextant and correct to the horizontal plane the observer is standing on. Oh yeah, we're above the surface level on the deck of a ship, so we better correct to surface level with the measurement we took from surface level when we were on the harbour. So Earth has been measured flat, unequivocally flat. It must be flat. We're talking about angles and corrections to them. He's still not off. He's still off mute, waiting for his turn to talk. There he is talking. Hasn't been listening. He's had to be muted by the server operator. You're a dick, mate. Because what you want to do is yammer through the conclusion so you don't have to answer it. What everyone in the Discord server is waiting for you to affirm, take him off mute now, is that you understood that Earth has been referenced and measured flat.
Earth has been referenced flat. I don't understand where it's been measured flat in this example.
So dip correction is with surface level. I've just explained this, and now he's telling me he doesn't understand that which I've explained now 4 times. Surface level, we're measuring our height above it. We're then correcting to surface level for a measurement that requires we're standing on a horizontal plane. That's an elevation angle measurement. If we're above it, we need to correct to it with the height above it that we took at the... Why am I having to say this again? I've just told him all this. And he's had to be put on mute, so he's never going to respond. When we get to taking him off mute, he's not going to respond to me. He's going to tell me, I don't know how you've just measured something. So, height of eye, that's for the correction later, above surface level. That's a measurement. You want to respond to that?
That is a measurement. It is not a measurement of flatness.
Of flatness. I'm not trying to measure the bloody flatness. I'm measuring my height above surface level. But you want to take it to a different type of measurement. That is not the type of measurement we're doing. We're not doing engineering. We're about to go out on a bloody boat.
I agree.
So why would you tell me about how flat we're not measuring it when we're not measuring for flatness? We're measuring our height above surface level.
You are asserting that's a flat Earth measurement, but we aren't measuring the flatness of the Earth.
No, I'm not trying to measure the flatness. I'm measuring my height above surface level.
That's another
Which
thing you may
requires
do.
a flat
So
Earth.
everyone else, shut up. He can
Dude.
rinse and repeat 16 times. I don't care how many times he does it. He can do it all day for all I care. For him telling me that it's not us. Oh, sorry. When I go and find out how I am above the surface level with a tape measure because I'm on the deck of a ship, that doesn't tell me how many miles per gallon the ship gets. Therefore, it's not a measurement. Oh, what? It doesn't tell me how flat the waves are, so it's not a measurement. No, it doesn't do those things. It's not that type of measurement. But obviously, you're a bit confused with your narrow-minded education in engineering that whenever we measure something, we must be measuring for its flatness, when we're not. We're measuring with respect to surface level and how high we are off surface level. Well, to know how high I am when I measure from surface level, I'm getting a height of eye measurement, not a flatness measurement. Part of the measurement is surface level. Now tell me again that I'm not getting how flat that surface level is.
So what I'm confused about is how that is a flat Earth measurement, because we are not measuring the flatness of the Earth.
We're not trying to measure the flat... Sorry, rinse and repeat 6 more times that we're not trying to measure flatness. No, we're not trying to measure miles per gallon. We're not trying to measure speed. And we're not measuring for how flat the waves are when we drop a tape measure down to them. We're measuring our height above surface level. That requires... surface. Every time I get to the conclusory point, he chants through it and then tells me we're not measuring for flatness. So you chanting, bitch fundy. Are you going to interrupt this for the 7th time? We're not measuring for flatness. We're measuring our height above surface level. That is a measurement, and it's a measurement of our height above a level surface. It's in the measurement. It is a measurement, and flat Earth is part of it. It's your height above the surface level.
Understood.
Yeah, so it's a measurement. And it's a flat Earth. But what, you don't understand how it's a measurement of flat Earth because it's not measuring for the flatness?
Correct. Can you understand
Well,
how...
then you're dumb. Then you're an idiot. Then you don't understand that there's different types of measurement. If I give you an MPG measurement, will you tell me that it doesn't have a speed?
Can I do a what measurement if you...
If I give you MPG, will you tell me, therefore, well, that's not a speed measurement? No, it's not. It's miles per gallon. And in this case, it's height of eye above surface level. Oh, well, that's not measuring for Earth and how flat the topology is with respect to a horizontal plane of reference that we can reference if we're measuring Earth's flatness in its topographical form. We're not doing surveying. This isn't mechanical engineering. This is celestial navigation. We still do measure, in this case, height of eye above surface level. That is unequivocally a flat Earth measurement. It's just not measuring for flatness. It's measuring height above flatness because surface level is flat.
Gotcha.
Welcome to Flat Earth.
So,
not all measurements
when
are
you
about
reference-
topology with respect to surface level. Yeah? You can deviate from surface level to give you heights of mountains, but that isn't this type of measurement, mate. We can still prove our Earth is flat when you talk about heights above the topology and flatness of Earth also. We can still prove Earth's
That's how
flat
you're
with that
proving-
while he yammers through this second example that he kept appealing to. I'm just using his example that he just appealed to, and he's immediately yammering through me. Fundy zealots. What a wanker. Yet when we're
Right,
referencing
and
the topology, we can also prove Earth's flat with it. When you just describe how high or low something is, you're describing how high or low it is with respect to a horizontal plane of reference that you must reference to know how high or low it is. And that would be sea level. Oh, shocking. It's a bit similar to the one where you're getting a tape measure to get your height of eye above surface level. Yeah, when we're measuring topology, we use sea level too. The averages of the raising and lowering surface level as an average for all the deviations in topographical terms from that average. That's a level called sea level that is also flat. Now, your non-stop, incessant yammering about the flatness was really irritating, and it demonstrated incompetence when it comes to a comprehension of different types of measurement. Now, I tried to explain that to you by juxtaposing it with MPG versus speed, but you still didn't get it. It just seems like you're very slow. You understand now there's different types of measurement that aren't specifically for topographical flatness? I hope so. Meanwhile, Earth's measured flat in every example. Regardless of if you're trying to appeal to topographical flatness, you still need a reference plane.
Okay. May I respond?
You can acknowledge some of it.
I acknowledge everything you've said. I understand what you've said, and I would like to respond.
You understand and acknowledge everything I've said. There's nothing else to say. Earth's measured flat.
Right now, Earth is referenced flat. You've made many references to which measures are used where the assumption is
Oh my
asserted
God.
that there's a flat
Shut up, Neil.
horizontal, which is fine. We haven't contested that. We haven't said whether or not that's reasonable or not. That's okay.
Let
Okay.
him go.
Okay,
Let him go.
fine.
I'm not
I wanna
asserting
Okay,
hear-
no
anything
worries.
about the
So,
shape of the
okay,
globe.
so far, we reference Earth as flat, according to you. That's
Sure.
not part of any measurement. Fine. Where do we reference Earth spherically to measure from that?
I'm just interested in getting the proper
Are you
definition on
deaf?
flat Earth
Are you
measures
deaf?
so far.
Are you deaf? Did you not understand the ground rules with you being
Do
subservient
you
and
not
answering
understand
to
this
me
doesn't
when I
relate
ask you
to
a
the core
question?
topic that I
I've asked you a
presented first,
question.
right?
You've affirmed. You understand. According to you, we've got a reference, and we measure from that reference. So for you, somehow telling me that, yeah, we've got a reference that's Earth and it's flat, and we measure from that reference that's Earth and it's flat, somehow what overcomes the fact that I say we measure Earth flat because you've inserted an extra section. Yeah, it's part of the reference, and we measure it, and it's flat. Yeah, I shorten that to
think
we
you
measure Earth flat and you
misunderstand.
don't like it and going to interrupt it like you've just done. Now I'm saying, fine, I'll even include your standard. Given that, yeah, we reference Earth flat when we measure with respect to that reference. I can bandy words too, no worries. Given that we measure Earth as a referenceable flat plane, do you have any referenceable globe planes? It's not really going to work, is it? Globe surfaces, bendy things that we measure from that have got a surface that we could talk about? Do you have any of those? Yes or no? Closed question.
I can give examples of measurements taking on non-flat bodies in which a flat plane is asserted to establish a datum to another position in space.
Right, a datum
It's very commonly
is,
done
sorry,
in engineering
a
drawings.
datum. No. I don't need weasel words. Do you have something that is curved to compare and contrast to that which we reference when we deal with Earth? Because so far, we reference and deal with Earth as flat. Okay, we all understand that and you don't disagree. Is there anything that we reference and measure spherical or not? And is it the ground or not?
The problem is when you get to
John.
zero.
Spherical references. What are they? Name them.
Just to be clear, this doesn't have anything to do with my line of questioning.
I don't care what you're asking. You asked if we've got a flat Earth measurement. I've explained it to you about 16 times. Given that we reference Earth as a flat plane so we can measure from that flat plane we reference, is there anything to contrast that with that would suggest we're actually referencing it and measuring it spherical, yes or no?
I would only have examples that are going to be wildly unacceptable in this space.
Sorry, don't tell me what you don't have. Do you have... So, in conclusion, the answer is no. He doesn't, because apparently there'd be unacceptable, which is a no. He couldn't give me a simple no, because he wants to seem like he's smart with a load of word salad, when asked a closed question that just simply needed a no. I don't have anything that references and measures Earth as a sphere. That's because there isn't any. Because we reference and measure Earth flat. You notice how I'm including your shitty weasel words of reference and measure? It's not necessary. Earth's measured flat. Nevertheless, I'll include them because you seem to think that that somehow overcomes my position. Or maybe your now interruption that you're going to, come in with after the fact. You don't have any measurements of sphericity. You don't have any references that would suggest sphericity, that we're using anything from that is spherical. No, you don't. I already know, and it took 3 attempts for you to give a simple no. We don't measure Earth as a sphere. I know we don't. That's because we measure it flat. Now, given that your objection to my phraseology of what reference and then measure Earth flat doesn't really faze the fact that Earth is definitely being referenced and measured flat, and that isn't in any way measuring Earth spherical. So to conclude, Earth is flat.
Right, because when you get your eye level down to the water level, what are you measuring then at 0 degrees?
Degrees? What, like angles off planes?
Yeah, you're measuring your reference. Your reference is part of your measurement.
I mean, it'd be nice to get a thank you.
That.
I mean, it started off, obviously, the guy's a bit bitter and a bit hurt and feeling a bit like he needs to constantly interrupt. But given that, you came in telling us all about how smart you were, yeah, I'm going to summarise it that way because it's a fact. And now we've, set you straight about Earth and how it's measured and referenced as a flat Earth. We get some thanks for that. Doubtful.
Thank you. We've referenced it flat. I don't know if we've measured it flat at any point, and I think you've already
So what about
stated
dip correction?
that.
What about height of eye? Height of eye's got nothing to do with
again.
height over surface level. Rinse and repeat and ignore what I've said. I'm now telling you again. I'm justified in interrupting you. You've just told me I didn't tell you. You conceded it, and when I asked you if you understood and conceded it, when I asked this chanting fundy zealot globe believer if he understood, he told me unequivocally that he understood and didn't disagree with any of it. What, the correction to the flat surface level that you agreed with and didn't disagree with? I didn't tell you about that. Now you're chanting through me because I'm humiliating you and proving you to be a demonstrable liar in defeat. Somehow I haven't told you about these that you've agreed with, and now you're going to chant through me and get some of your points that you won with. You didn't have any. We're talking about how we measure Earth, and we measure Earth flat, and when it comes to you losing, you've had to be just for the audience's benefit, a server operator's had to step in because he couldn't help himself and started chanting through me in defeat because he's pathetic. Like all of you in the audience that happen to be here, if you are amongst the 141 live audience participants currently, please hit me up on Ko-Fi. I'm very poor. Smash the super chat to support this channel. He had to be shut up because he couldn't bear to hear how badly he'd lost. He needs to be the one talking. After 6 attempts and constant fundy muting from him and appeals to how he'd been shut up, yeah, you are, when you constantly interrupt and affirm with a lie that you haven't been told about the flat earth measurement that we went through 6 times, what the dip correction, height of eye correction, the surface level that's needed in the elevation angle measurement. He's been told all these things. They didn't go in because they challenged his zealot belief in being on a sphere. So he didn't hear them. They weren't not put to him. It wasn't that they weren't put to him. He didn't hear them. He couldn't tolerate them. And after he couldn't tolerate them and blocked them out, he told me that I hadn't told him. Absolutely infuriating. And when I point out that I have told him, he starts chanting through the top of me. You can take him off mute.
I want to know what he thinks the 0 degree measurement when your eye level and surface level is. What are you measuring then at 0 degrees?
0 degrees.
When eye level and surface level. Yeah. What is that?
0 degrees. It's flat earth measurement.
I don't know what you mean by at 0 degrees. You mean at the point where you would begin the elevation angle as
I just told you. I just told you where your eye level and surface level, if you lower down to your eye level and surface level, we're both in the same position. What do you think you're measuring then?
That's not a measurement. You're going to be measuring to another body.
So when I measure the freezing point of water, that's not a measurement because that's my 0 point within my scale of temperature. The 0 point, the reference point, isn't a measurement anymore, says you.
The reference point is not a measure unless you're referencing an external system of some sort.
Yes, and I already described to you. Water level and surface level. Okay? That's not internal to me. What are you talking about?
You understand? I've told you about 6. It's now going to be the 7th time. Surface level. It's like I just told the audience this, John. I know I've said it to him, and I know he's going to start interrupting me while I summarise it again. He can't hear it. It's not that he's deaf. He can't. It won't go in. He can't accept it because it challenges his zealot belief. So therefore, he didn't hear it, and because he didn't hear it, he's telling me, you haven't told me. 7 times. You haven't told me, John, 4 times. Yeah, we have.
Right.
Yeah, I got you to cite it initially. I was very specific in doing so because I knew what would happen. And that's why I made it your words that you said to make it that little bit more painful for you. And you did attempt to tell me that it was my belief and stuff, but I quickly rammed that right back down your throat for the audience's delight. It was great. Thank you, by the way. You know, you are fairly standard fare. I know you're going to start talking while I'm talking and predictably right on cue. Yeah, you aren't like anybody. You're not any different to anybody else. I've done about 2,500 shows, and you are just like everybody else. You what I describe as a fundamentalist religious globe-believing zealot who doesn't like the fact that those globe-believing zealotry beliefs that you hold have come from these measurements of a flat plane of reference, the Earth. Surface level. The level. It's not curving, it's a level. And again, while I'm explaining this to you, you've got your mic wide open, and eventually the server operators will put you on mute. And then when you get taken off, you'll bleat about it. I'm talking. You don't like being subservient to a flat earther. That's why your mic's wide open. You're just waiting for your turn to talk. But these measurements of a flat earth, the reference plane we reference, the measurements we take from it, the elevation angle measurements, the surface level, the water level, all the things we've put to you are all with respect to our reality. They're all with respect to Earth, and we are doing measurements with them. Now, for the longest time, the globe believers take those measurements and then calculate into existence a sphere. That's where the globe comes from, these measurements. Now, when they're taken from a flat plane and inferred through calculation to be spherical, then everybody accepts these as measurements. They're all good in the hood. But the moment we point out that the origin of the globe assertion by calculation comes from these measurements, suddenly, yeah, you're not special. Everyone's got an objection to them being measurements then. What, because we're measuring Earth flat? Yeah, I can understand how that'd be objectionable to you, and I'd want to yammer through every single minute of me pointing that out to you. Because it defies your fundamentalist religious sphere belief. You're a zealot. That's why you can't shut up. You don't like being subservient to me. Tough shit. You are. You're the one in demonstrable ignorance here. I
Beautiful.
have demonstrated that to my audience.
You've never
Well,
measured it
MX
flat, Nathan.
MPX was
We just
saying
walked
just
through it.
before
What the hell?
that he was going to throw in the towel there and he was going to move on to somebody else. So I know that we do have Trigonometry Man that's been hanging in here waiting for about 40 minutes or so if we want to move on to him.
Well, it's about that sort of time where I'll start suggesting that I unwind from this server, because we've been live for about an hour and 45 minutes. But that's kind of down to you in a way, AJ. If you like, if I don't know, one of my panel can take
No,
the
we've
reins
got
for a bit,
to,
I'll get a coffee and stay in here and stay live. But that's up to you more than me, depending on how you're feeling.
Well, we got to one. I think we got to 1:30. It was we organised 3 hours. Yeah, he came in at 10:30. So yeah, we got another hour if you're keen to stay. We got a few more people in here. We got Trigonometry Man who wants to ask some questions, and we've got Baby Reindeer as well. So
okay, well, what I'll do, I'll do a
Nathan.
quick call to action because I'm super poor, and once I've done that, I'll get myself a coffee and leave whoever wants to take the reins from my panel in charge. Okay, right. I'm going to stay live for a bit, audience. Please share the show. Smash that share button. It's a couple of clicks and you can put it out on whatever social media platforms you use. It's really, really easy. Just 2 clicks. Also, hit me up on Ko-Fi, PayPal, smash the super chat. Anything you like to support me. I'm really, really poor. So that's it. E-begging and sharing and all the usual calls to action. I'm going to go and get a coffee. Trigonometry Man, off you go.
All right. So who am I talking to now? Oh, it's not Nathan.
John.
No, you got the panel. Yeah, the whole panel.
Oh, okay. You guys can see the side chat, right?
No,
No,
they
I
can't see
cannot.
our
I am
side chat on
sorry.
Discord.
Oh, okay.
But I'm pretty good with descriptions. You can describe it to me.
AJ, can you see the side chat? You can, right?
Yeah, I can. What time?
I just posted it.
Just posted.
Yep.
Yep. Righto. What do we got here?
We got a graph, and I'm just wondering. So the one on the left is flat, right, and the one on the right is curved. You'd say.
What did you say it was? A sonogram? Did you say a sonogram?
It's a graph. It's a graph.
No, he has a graph. He has a picture of a graph paper, which just has the graph on there, and he says that looks flat, yeah. And then he has one with an oval shape, flat circle, oval drawn on it, which should be bulging at the equators, I suppose you'd say, if it was the globe. He's asking me whether that would look spherical, and I said, well, no, actually, it just looks like a 2D circle or oval drawn onto a flat graph paper.
Well, the thing is, are we getting ready to do quadrant-based geometry from the center of Earth, or are we going to do what are you implying with your circular graph?
I think that's what it is. Quadrant.
So this is the left graph is a measure from 9 to 12 or 8 to 12 kilometers on a circle. For all intents and purposes.
But did you hear what I said?
You would agree that it looks flat, right? So like I could take an angle of measurement off of that. Correct? From 9
from
to
the
10.
Center?
Nope,
From
just
the
from
center.
the outside of the outside of the circle.
If it's a straight line meeting a curved line, it's not an angle. Now you can correlate that to another line on another straight line and say, well, because these 2 points are close, I can say this is an angle now. But you just admitted you're not doing quadrant-based geometry and
why I really
projecting an arc, so you're not
Sorry,
getting an angle.
I'm waiting for my machine to warm up, but what I'm hearing is the guy talking through John's conclusion. Is that just me? I'm missing something, or is John's conclusion getting talked through by Trigonometry Man?
It is a little bit, but he's trying to work out a way he can get this picture he's posted in our chat across to you guys so that you guys can see it somehow. I've got a shot of it here. Is there somewhere I can post it for you guys?
It's in Master B for you,
I
John.
posted in Skype.
He didn't need it. He already assessed what we were talking about, quadrant-based geometry from the centre of hell. And when the guy asserted that, no, we are doing it with angles, John pointed out, I've just been paying attention, that he's getting the angle from the surface. Then it isn't an angle. That's where we're at.
Yes, correct. Yes.
No, I'm asking. So the left-hand graph. Could I get an angle based off of that? If I have,
So
a point
we're
on
not
that
measuring
graph.
angles from graphs. Stop. Where's it measured in reality? Is it measured on the curved surface? Because if so, at an angle. Did you understand that or not?
Well, this is a
Yeah,
curved
he's
surface
using
on the left-hand.
quadrant-based geometry
hold
and
on
he
just a
doesn't
sec,
know what it is.
John, just a sec. You're saying this is a curved surface. Okay. So are you
Yeah, but it
suggesting...
looks really flat, doesn't it?
excuse me. Pin your ears back and calm down. We don't want to end up being called a triggered zealot fundy like the last guy. Yeah? Shh, calm yourself down, trigonometry man. Are you suggesting this is indicative of an angle from the surface? Because if... Let's try that once more, trigonometry man. You can sense that there's a pummeling coming, I see, right? You're going to pop yourself on mute of your own volition. I shouldn't have to ask. I'll make a third attempt to clarify that which has already been put to you by John while my coffee machine warms up. Shouldn't have to be doing this. Are you suggesting that this is indicative of an angle from the curved surface? Because if you are, it is not an angle. Curved lines meeting vertices aren't angles. So no, if the answer's yes, this is claimed to be from the surface, John will continue to point out that it isn't an angle then. That didn't get an acknowledgement. So, we'll try that again. Is this claimed to be indicative of an angle measurement from the curved surface? Yes or no?
Yep, I claim the left-hand graph. I can take an angle from that since there's, for all intents and purposes, no curvature on that line over 10 to or over 8 to 12 kilometers. Would you agree? If you can see the picture.
Just so I'm clear, you're suggesting that you're taking an angle measurement that has no Earth curvature over 11 kilometers. So we are...
Nope.
Sorry, I'm clarifying. Let's try that for a fourth time there, triggered fundy. Yeah, dangerously close to being called a zealot that can't shut his trap while he's being pummeled. It's a bit embarrassing, trigonometry man. Bit embarrassing. Yeah? So you've just told me that this can be a straight line for, 11 kilometers? Doesn't matter the distance. Any distance. It is, according to what you've just told me, flat and straight, and we're measuring it, right?
For all intents and purposes.
Sorry, not for all intents and purposes. If it's going to be an angle, it's flat, right? You don't have to give me some weaselly losing words, because when I get you to just say, yeah, we're measuring this flat. Yeah? Not to all intents and purposes. It's an angle, son. Do you not know what an angle is? It needs to be flat, right? It is flat that we're measuring for this example over this distance, right?
No, it's not. Look at the...
Sorry, it's not an angle. Then it is not an angle while you chant through me there, religious zealot fundy. I'm trying to correct you. If it's not straight and it's not flat, it is not an angle. Did you not understand what angles were? So, in conclusion, what he said a moment ago was he was measuring it to all intents and purposes flat for quite some distance. To all intents and purposes going to be apologised for later for how spherically you aren't measuring it, because you are measuring it flat. But to all intents and purposes, it's allowed to be flat and not spherical. You're definitely not measuring it spherical, son. You're measuring it flat, aren't you? Yeah.
Nathan, this is the same. So the thing I just posted
with quadrant-based geometry, and he denied it. But it obviously is. It has an X and Y axis, and the circle he drew is covering all four quadrants. He's lying, or he's dumb.
Look.
Yeah, it is quadrant-based geometry. Did he? Hold on. I thought he admitted that it was quadrant-based. Did he deny that? I didn't think he did.
I didn't deny that. What the hell?
Well, then it's based on the centre of hell, and you're not getting angles from the surface, Dumbo.
I can get it from the surface of that line.
What, from a curved surface? No, you just told me how flat it was. To all intents and purposes flat? That's definitely not a curved line. What are you babbling about? You were about to apologise for how flat you need it to be, with little weasel words like for all intents and purposes. It's flat. Oh, right, so it's flat then. It's the measurement that you're appealing to that's flat. And what, are you going to apologise later because it's not curving and to all intents and purposes flat? Yeah, that's your flat earth measurement, mate.
That's from 18.
To all intents and purposes, you're measuring earth flat, son.
Yeah, that's from 8 to...
Yeah! For all intents and purposes, this globe-believing clown is and must be measuring earth flat. Why has he been put on mute? I don't mind him fundy chanting through the top of me. It's very telling to the audience. He doesn't want to hear that I'm pointing out that his measurement was, quote, for all intents and purposes flat. That's him, his measurement, and how flat it is, with the weasel words of for all intents and purposes. What that means is, later I will apologise for how this angle that must be measured flat, and it's for his claim of a globe that's bending, well then you better be measuring it curvy, not apologising for how flat it is. For all intents and purposes, you're measuring Earth flat, son.
Why is that graph?
Why am I being asked something when I'm asking for an affirmation? Based on your declaration. For all intents and purposes, you're measuring it flat. That's a declaration, statement of fact.
Me, dude. Let me speak.
Sorry, you are. You're asking permission to speak when I point out that in your own definition and words, quote, verbatim, for all intents and purposes, you're measuring Earth flat.
It's from the same graph with that huge circle, Nathan.
Sorry, so you're measuring it flat for all intents and purposes, right? You still haven't affirmed that. You just seem to be weaseling away by comparing it to something else and never affirming that which you have for all intents and purposes measured flat.
So on that graph, yeah, 8 to 12 kilometers.
Not on the graph. It's not a graph measurement. I already covered this, you little weasel. We're measuring Earth, aren't we? Are we not trying to prove sphericity with Earth measurement anymore? Suddenly we're just referencing graphs, right? No. When I talk about these measurements, I talk about the ground, the Earth, the flat reference plane, how we measure Earth flat. I mean, you were talking about how this proves that we've got a spherical ground to be measured, right? That's how you were using it with quadrant-based geometry, right up until we needed a referenceable angle on the surface, and then for all intents and purposes, you are measuring Earth flat. Just need that affirmation before you weasel away from it.
Nope, I understand it, Nathan. You just don't.
Nope, I understand that for all intents and purposes you're measuring flat. See, that's a no, followed by an affirmation that you understand that for all intents and purposes you are measuring it flat. That's not a no, I need a yes. Yes, Nathan. For all intents and purposes, for a straight line with respect to the ground, you are measuring Earth flat. You're going to affirm that with a yes, not a no.
That doesn't mean it's not flat, Nathan.
So it doesn't mean it's not flat when you, for all intents and purposes, measure Earth flat? Well, I'm just going to lean on the fact that you are measuring Earth, and you are, for all intents and purposes, no, you just are, measuring it flat. You must, it's an angle.
So when I zoom out, why does it become a...
So why don't I zoom out? I still haven't got my affirmation. You're measuring Earth flat, son.
Measuring? No, I didn't measure it flat.
I think this is that trick where the pixelation of the image fails, and you can no longer tell whether the line is straight or curved. But he puts the arc symbol in to make it represent as an angle, and then you zoom out and you see it's a curve, but it's because of the pixel distortion. It's what a liar does.
Yeah,
You're a liar,
for all intents and purposes, this is a straight flat line because I need it to be. But check it out, bait and switch. If I zoom out, it's on a curved line. Yeah, do you not think we know this bait and switch trick? Yeah, it's very crap. Meanwhile, for all intents and purposes, regardless of him telling us that he's going to be doing a magic trick that we're not going to let him get to, and we're going to ruin the prestige by telling people the outcome, what, because you've, for all intents and purposes, measured it flat, you can zoom out and tell us that it's sphere-shaped. Well, why wouldn't you measure it sphere-shaped? Well, that's because it isn't, and it can't be if he's trying to get an angle. For an angle, he's got to, for all intents and purposes, measure Earth flat.
Yeah, because I'm not measuring from 1,000 to 1,000 kilometers.
So, yeah, you've got to measure Earth flat, but now you think I'm going to listen to your apologies for that fact that you've just measured Earth flat?
Yeah, measuring from 4.
Yeah, I don't care about your apologies. You just measured Earth flat, and the audience have never had it in this order, with the fundy telling us how, what, for all intents and purposes, this straight flat line that I measure, what, couldn't be zoomed out from? Well, you're not doing that in the process. You're just, for all intents and purposes, measuring Earth flat. Therefore, you're measuring Earth flat. And the for all intents and purposes bit can be left out, as can the apologies for why you're not measuring it spherical can be left out also. Because the only bit that we actually do, the only bit that we actually measure, like every single measurement that I've had on screen for my audience while this conversation's been running, are angle measurements off a flat plane. Not for all, none of these diagrams have got the words for all intents and purposes on them. They're just angles off a flat plane. And he needs them. Yeah? But he does need to do a little bait and switch where he'll zoom out and tell you that the straight line that it must be actually sits on a curve. No, that won't work.
Yep.
No, that won't work. You're measuring Earth flat.
You dishonest.
Just means you're dishonest. You're the little smoke and mirror show where you're going to pretend that you've measured something flat because you need it to be flat and then tell you that actually, look, if I zoom out, that's crap.
I want to hear how I'm a liar.
Yeah, because you put that arc symbol in there and said, is this an angle? It's like the Mandela effect for globe earthers. You've inserted the idea that it is an angle, even though you purposely manipulated the image.
He's telling you how you're being a liar, by the way, and he's chanting through it. This is the point that I will ask the server and moderators to just put him on mute, because he's asked to be given clarification in terms of how he's a liar. John's giving it him, and he's chanting through it, because like the last guy, the zealot, fundy, religious, globe-believing liar scum that he is, after asking John to detail how he's been lying, he's going to chant through every word of it, because he's lost badly and been demonstrated stupid, and demonstrated with his own bloody words to be measuring a flat Earth for all intents and purposes. That just means you're measuring a flat Earth. I don't give a crap what you do after the fact with your smoke and mirrors. John's going to now tell you how deceptive that is. If you can shut up, zealot. Oh, he's had to be served. Moderators have had to serve mute him, because he can't bear to hear it. John, go ahead.
Right. They show you the image of what appears to be two straight lines meeting at a vertex, which would give you an angle. They have the little arc symbol that is represents the angle it should be. And then they introduce the idea that it's an angle, right? By saying, what angle is this? Is this an angle? Something along those lines. It's the Mandela effect for globe earthers. And then when you give them what you guess the angle would be, they zoom out and show you that it was coming from a curved line. It is deceptive. They should have never put that arc symbol in there, and they should have never manipulated the image if they were going to claim an angle.
It isn't an angle.
At any point in the conversation.
The reality is, when he says for all intents and purposes, what he actually means is this is not an angle. It's a curved line meeting a straight line at a vertex, which is not an angle. But I'm going to say it's good enough to be called an angle. That's his bait and switch. No, for it to be an angle, it's got to be a straight line. If it isn't a straight line, and what do you know when we zoom out, it isn't straight, then it wasn't an angle measurement. That was what John first put to him. If it's coming from a curved surface, it's not an angle measurement. Well, he's going to say, I can pretend it is. Well, no, you can't. Because you obviously want to define the definition of what an angle is when you do that. But what, for the uninitiated and stupid that you're trying to deceive with your little shell game, you're going to pretend that a curved line meeting a straight one is an angle? No, you're not clever. You're not smart. It's pathetic, in fact, trigonometry, man. We despise you. Rightly so. And your fraud, having been exposed here to my audience, should also be despised by everybody who knows you. It's probably why you're going by a fake name rather than your actual name. Because when you deceive people, you fraud with angles that aren't really angles. Yeah? With a symbol that would infer they are. That's deceitful. That's fraud. Scum.
You haven't even seen the image, dude. I never
don't
brought
need
in that
to.
symbol. No,
Number
you
one,
haven't
yes,
even
I
seen
have.
the image.
Number one, yes, I have. Someone shared it with me in my server, and he hasn't got a clue what I can and can't see. I've got a very slick moderation team that shared it with me, just unbeknownst to you. So now he's going to tell my audience what I have and haven't seen it. It's in my Skype. So, yeah, I have. You got to lie to Glurf. Just a liar. You're a scumbag liar. Sorry, you just told me I hadn't seen it. Yeah, it's been shared with me.
So then
you're a liar, and you lied about having an angle. You don't have an angle if the line's coming from a curve.
measurement in there, dude.
You don't have an
There's
angle
not
if it's
even
coming
an
from a
angle
curve.
measurement in there. I never
don't-
even got an angle measurement off of that surface. You're just
don't-
But
lying.
that's what it's
Now you're lying.
assuming. Hang on, that's what it's assuming, trigonometry man. You've got it divided up
Nope,
into
it was a
quadrants.
question.
Hang on. You've got it divided up into quadrants, and you're saying where that straight line in the center, from the center of the Earth, hell, meets the outside of the sphere. When you zoom in on that line on your graph paper, it appears to be straight and horizontal up to 11 miles. So in reality, what would be the drop over distance in 11 miles when we take this measurement in reality, not based off a zoomed in pixelated graph paper, for all intensive purposes, measuring it as flat? What would be the reality in that curvature?
We're measuring.
over
We're not. There
11
isn't any.
miles?
There is no curvature beyond his graph and his bait and switch smoke and mirrors show. We're measuring Earth flat.
Correct.
I can't believe you haven't seen the.
That's why I'm asking the question, because I want to know. Aren't we doing this in reality? It's all good on your graph paper, but in reality, not flat.
Well, he said it.
Angle measurement
Zoom
off of a
in,
flat.
right? Zoom in to the point that they distort the image. He is trying to distort reality to assert some kind of truth by distorting the image. Zoom in. No, that ain't how it works, dude.
A
You don't
simple
just
question.
Zoom in and out and say
Okay.
that's
Simple question. If after we zoom out, it transpires that we have a straight line meeting a curved line, is that still an angle?
I never even got an angle off of that circle. This is how I know you
Sorry,
aren't
just
looking
one
at
more
the
time.
image.
So if we have a straight line meeting a curved line, is that an angle?
That wasn't my claim, sir.
So it's a simple yes or no question, given that we are measuring this angle, and that is what we are doing on the surface, and it must be flat for all intents and purposes. And I'm asking you if it isn't actually flat. So for all intents and purposes, it's flat. Turns out it isn't. Is it still an angle? Yes or no?
Is that a red herring? Yes.
Not a red herring, given that we're measuring an angle and you don't seem to have one. Because what was, for all intents and purposes, a straight line turns out not to be. So I'm going to ask now again, given that what was, for all intents and purposes, a straight line when we measured Earth flat, turns out not to be in your sphere belief. Given that what you took to be, for all intents and purposes, flat, isn't, I'm asking if that is still an angle.
Is that still a red herring that you're trying?
No, it's not still a red herring, given that we're measuring angles.
I didn't even measure an angle in that image. That's why I know you don't.
So this isn't really helpful then. So we're not measuring angles with respect to the surface then. Okay, so you don't really have any Earth measurements that are useful in this debate then. You're going to relinquish all your claims. But it doesn't relate to how Earth gets measured.
Yeah,
then.
why are you here?
Why are you here again?
Why are you here if you have no...
We still haven't
this
looked
is
at the image. So I don't
This
know
is
what's
stupid.
going on.
He's just done a Tim Osman and relinquished all of his own claims when he's failed in them. So what? Why are you here? I don't understand now. It makes no sense that you'd be here. If you're not debating about Earth measurement, then why the bloody hell are you here? Cat got your tongue?
I'm here to give it off to Jekyll now. Yeah.
Sorry, did he just ad hom me?
No, I didn't. I said it's time for Jekyll.
Time for
No,
what?
I think there was someone else in here before Jekyll, yeah.
Sorry, are
He
you
wants to
throwing... No,
move on.
no. Are you
Done.
throwing in the towel? I asked why you'd be here if you've now decried the fact that this has anything to do with measuring Earth. Why would you even be having this discussion with us? Okay.
No, it's not going to go anywhere.
So I've asked you a question. We're measuring Earth. That's what we're doing. We're measuring angles with respect to the surface, the ones that you just tried to decry because yours failed. When I ask you if those angle measurements that we are doing and you don't seem to be anymore, yeah, we're measuring Earth flat. You've got nothing to offer. You're not measuring anything. I'll just summarise based on your last conclusion. You haven't got anything to offer in terms of Earth measurement. And if you imply that you have, were we to zoom out, we'd find out that we didn't have the angles that we need. Because you can't get angles from curves. So your globe belief doesn't really help you in terms of acquisition of angle measurement. But what you claimed previously and have now relinquished because you're a freaking weasel was the, to all intents and purposes, flat measurement of an angle. Now, it can be, in weasel word terminology, for all intents and purposes, a flat Earth that is being measured for this angle, right up until the point that it isn't an angle anymore for you on a sphere. Then it's a red herring? No, I'm pretty sure this was your example that's become a red herring when you need it to be a flat Earth measurement, and was suggesting that we had some sort of sphericity to our surface. Oh, of course, we weren't even measuring anything, were we? Get lost. You lost so badly here, trigonometry, man. It was pathetic. Yeah, we will move on now. I've summarised your abject defeat. I thought you were done. I thought you were suggesting we move on.
You didn't even look
No,
at
I
the
think
image.
we've just summarised your failure and loss and your relinquishment of your own claim. It used to be a magic trick that you were going to go through where you zoomed out and went, ta-da! And then when we took that away from you, it stopped being anything to do with the measurement of the surface, making your useless appearance here completely irrelevant to anything we discuss. We discuss how we measure angles from the surface and how they're flat. Not for all intents and purposes, later to only be from curves and not really be angles. Oh, unless that's a red herring. No, that's your total humiliation and failure to measure a spherical surface. And what we take as a flat measurement, you need for all intents and purposes now, don't you? Brilliant. Now bugger off. Next!
Baby reindeer, you are up, my friend.
Okay. The question is, AJ, before I say anything, does Brenda want to talk about the topic that's just been talked about? Because I'm going to talk about something else. Brenda?
No.
All right. Okay. I'll go then. All right. Hello, religious fundy. Is that a yes or a no? Well, just want to talk to my religious fundy zealot.
Well, can we start without the ad homs first and just ask the question, maybe?
All right. Well, the question is, in our last conversation, Nathan, you said you make no claim as to whether the gradient extends to 10 to the negative 17 tall. So, Nathan, in the future, will you stop saying you can't go to a location that's 10 to the negative 17 tall?
Oh, goodness, son. You're in trouble. How did you get that elevation for that gradient?
Sorry, how is that relevant to my question?
You're asking me not to do something.
You said gradient.
And then you referred to a gradient. So he's asking you about the elevation of the gradient that you're appealing for me to not talk about?
Yeah, you said in our last conversation you make no claim as to whether the gradient extends to 10 to the negative 17 tall. So it's possible that you could go to that location. Is that correct?
No, it's the second law of thermodynamics violation. It's a violation of the
okay.
second
So
law.
how low can pressure get then before you require a container?
No, that's where I say I don't make any claims in that regard because I don't.
So it could go to 10 to the negative 17. Why is 10 to the negative 17 tall
because
too
it's
low?
a second law of thermodynamics violation.
All right. So what's so low or too low about 10 to the
I
negative
don't make any
17
claims
as
about
opposed
this.
to...
Why are you asking? I don't make a claim about it.
So it's possible then,
But
yeah?
did you need to rinse and repeat this 6 more times? Because if you do, I'm just going to ask straight away for you to be removed.
Just say it's possible, because you're saying...
So just say you just need me to say something. Are you a complete fuckwit?
Yes.
No, mate. I'm not going to have your requirement for me to be saying something satisfied for you to make your argument. You are pathetic.
All right, I'll take that as a victory, Nathan. Thank you very much.
You can take it as a victory, son. Meanwhile, I'll actually summarise the point in regards to the globe-believing numpty's assertion that the sky is a vacuum, and how if the sky was a vacuum, in line with entropic laws of gas dispersion, the gas we are all enjoying breathing would fill that space at 10 to the minus 17 torr in the globe plane. The fact that we are breathing high-pressure gas means there is definitely not a sky vacuum. I don't make any claims about what the sky is, so I don't have to answer anything about anything when it comes to gas pressure. When it comes to gas pressure, I know it's got to be pressing on something, as I get interrupted by my own panel. It's got to be pressing on something. That's an antecedent consequent relationship that's violated by your fundy sphere belief with a sky vacuum above our heads. What's that? Why does gas... I don't care. I'm not answering any questions. I'm not making any claims. I'm debunking a sky vacuum. That's your claim.
You're not doing a very good job at it. You're not doing a very
Is he
good job
going
of
to chant
that,
through my win? Because it seems like he is. I'm debunking a religious zealot's belief in a sky vacuum. That's what I'm doing. After that fact of debunking your sky vacuum belief, I have absolutely no obligation to answer anything whatsoever. I hope that's made clear. It was made clear last time. You're too stupid to understand last time, and you just need to rinse and repeat and chant through my reply. I know.
Is this claim an inductive
But
claim?
it has nothing to do with... It's not your response that I'm worried about, Nathan. It's the fact that he invoked the flat Earth with a high differential of pressure off a flat plane as some kind of evidence that there is this place that doesn't exist now. That's what's disconcerting to me.
That is concerning, isn't it? Nathan, is it the case that...
Can you back off your mic?
With...
Can you back off your mic 3 inches? Can you back off your mic?
Too loud? I apologise.
Can you back off your mic 3 inches? You're horribly distorted.
Right, okay. Right, so Nathan, is it the case that with the gradient, if you can go to a place that's 10 to the negative 17 tall, possibly, and you make no claims about it, then you can't say in the future there is this location that's 10 to the negative 17 tall vacuum that you can't go to.
That's an argument from ignorance fallacy.
But you can't say that you can't go there because you don't
that's an
make claims.
argument from ignorance. He's dumb as all shit, man. This guy is thick. I'm done with this. It's dumb. I respond, and he literally ignores it and repeats the same thing like I haven't heard it.
Is that a cope-laugh? Is that a cope-laugh, Nathan?
It's an argument from ignorance fallacy. We don't know that it isn't. That's an argument from ignorance.
Yeah, no, it's not that you don't know it.
No. For my audience benefit, while he yammers through the top of me concluding, he's used an argument from ignorance fallacy and repeated it when I put that to him.
Yeah. Nathan can't name fallacies.
So now he's going to tell me what I can't do. That's an ad hominem fallacy. So he's not responding to the fact that I've pointed out his fallacious reasoning. He's started to attack me personally about what I can't do. No, mate.
Right,
you useless twat. Don't tell my audience what I can't do. You've just used an argument from ignorance fallacy. Useless. You lose.
Use that fallacy.
Your argument is void, and now you're chanting through the top of me. Like the last 3 people who have interacted with me. Upon having your bum smacked, you think that it's your turn to chant through everything I put to you after it. No, mate. You've been demonstrated as an ignorant fool by a flat earther pointing out your use of fallacy. In this instance, an argument from ignorance fallacy. So, you can do a couple of things. You can go, oh, right, yeah, that was bad of me and stupid of me and not any way proving a sky vacuum. Then I'll understand that you've acknowledged that which has had to be pointed out to you in your ignorance and use of fallacy. You're not doing that. You're chanting through the top of me and asking me new questions. Do you think you're smart? You're not.
Yes, I do.
Well, you're not.
Well, you know, the thing is, Nathan, you can be agnostic about the question, but you can't say it's not there because you haven't given an argument as to why you can't go to that location. All you've said is, I make no claims about it. So you should be agnostic on it, right?
I just explained it to you. You ignored it.
Well, it's not an argument from ignorance fallacy. I'm not saying it's not the case that you can't go there. I'm saying he can't say that, but that's too much nuance.
What? Yeah, I can. It's a second law of thermodynamics violation. He's ignored that as well.
Oh, you said, yeah, which is what I was moving on to. It's an inductive claim, isn't it, Nathan? It's an inductive claim, isn't it, Nathan?
John's keen, and I'm keen to appease my panel to have a taste of blood. Go ahead, John.
Right. To have gas pressure, before you talk about gradients, you need to have a container so that pressure can rebound against the walls of the container and come back to give you pressure. But on top of that, when you invoke gradients, that's an elevation above a horizontal plane of reference that you will describe that differential from. If you're not a flat earther, you shouldn't be talking about that.
Okay, it's a synthetic a posteriori claim. It's based on what you see in the world, and it's also inductive. It's based on everything you can do on the surface of the Earth. I'll grant you, Nathan, because I'm kind, what you can do on the surface of the Earth. But if something different is going on or being observed in altitude, then that will count as evidence of absence for a container. If you go 65 miles up and you see that...
Why?
Because you're looking at a vacuum 65 miles up, only 65 miles, and it's confirming the idea that the pressure's so low that it's almost 10 to the negative 17 torr already. The difference is small, right? Even though 10 to the negative 17 torr is hundreds of kilometers further, the difference is so small, and yet there's no container separating you between 65 miles up and the rest of the atmosphere below.
Can I have a word
with this gentleman? Is that okay?
Isn't that curious?
He's made a logical assumption there. But to
I
support
can't hear your fundy in the background.
still,
Hold on, Adam. While Adam's talking to you, ideally, number one, you wouldn't be talking. Number two, you'd have your line on mute so you don't cause audio chaos and can hear him. Please, can you pop yourself on mute while Adam responds to you? Thanks.
so I'm just literally just listening to you now, dude. And why should you make a fairly logical statement that you've got this thing where you've got a gradient?
That's why nobody can hear me.
I'm still talking. But carry on.
Yeah, sorry, we can't hear you at all, man. Your mic is really bad.
Is it?
Oh, hold on. No, maybe that's my end.
Hold
on, I'll just get rid of noise
I'll be
reduction.
in
Adam, just hang on a second. Just give me 30 seconds. I can sort this out.
Okay.
He still didn't answer my question about why are you not only using a red herring, but a red herring that requires a flat plane to prove what? Like, where are you going with this? It doesn't make sense.
Whether or not it requires a flat plane is irrelevant to the container, isn't it? So, I don't know what you want me to say. I'm more arguing about the container, you know?
Where are we at? Are we in container debate? Is that what this is? Are we debating about containers now? Or is this a flat earth debate?
Yeah, we're in container debate, yeah.
No, we're not.
All right, then. I'm done. Thank you very much. I'm here all week.
Okay, perfect. So, just to conclude, thanks for your points. So, we describe how we have gradiated pressure with respect to surface level. This is a flat earth proof. Thank you for bringing it. Really appreciate it.
No problem, Fundy.
Why are you calling me a fundy? There's nothing fundy about declaring that which you've just offered us. So are you suggesting that I'm a fundy if I accept which you've just presented? I'm not.
Well, with righteous indignation, Nathan Oakley.
Nothing, that was rhetorical. There's nothing fundamentalist about me accepting how we describe gradiated pressure from sea level. How does that make me a fundy? It doesn't. That's rhetorical again.
It's the exact opposite, Nathan. And this is the point. Yeah. What's fundy is when your resolution for your worldview has to oppose natural law. So the only way you can have your graduated atmosphere without the necessary antecedent of a container is to invoke gravity and to defy natural law. That is a definition and an example of fundy thinking and reasoning, yeah? Because we have to deny the natural law to enable the preservation. Sorry, some idiot don't like to drive in lanes. You have to deny the natural law to preserve your worldview that it's containment with pressure without containment.
Correct.
That is the
Yeah, I put it to him 4 times. He says, oh, well, you're not denying that it could be there by an argument from ignorance fallacy. And I go, no, it's a violation of the second law of thermodynamics. He's like, no, well, if I just assume, through my argument from ignorance fallacy, that it could just dissipate to 10 to the minus 17 torr, what, and ignore the fact that that's a violation of the second law of thermodynamics?
Sorry, what's a violation of the second? Because I didn't hear a single word of that other guy.
High pressure gas, like we're all breathing, and a 10 to the minus 17 torr sky vacuum. That's a second law of thermodynamics, straight up second law of violation.
You think that's because high pressure goes to low pressure, isn't it, Nathan?
It does!
Brilliant.
Is this really? Because I think high pressure goes to low pressure. Is that really this globe-believing zealot's rebuttal? No, it's not because I think that. It's a law of nature!
All right, Nathan.
Yeah!
And there we go. So there is another prime example of fundy behaviour. So you think that high pressure goes to low? No, it's a natural law. The only reason for you to deny it is because it opposes a ball heliocentric model, doesn't it? It's the only reason you would have to deny your natural law. You're a fundy.
Oh, my Lord. I need to go. So, Nathan, if you would just answer my question.
So you just need to run away? now that we've pointed out your straight up second law of thermodynamics violation, and in rebuttal you've told me, so it's because you believe high pressure goes to low pressure. No, I've got multitudes of high caliber universities lecturing on the dispersion of gas with the second law of thermodynamics as the title, as they describe it, as a law of nature. It's not my belief. Your belief in a sky vacuum defies that law of nature that when put to you, you tell me is just my belief. No, mate. No, high pressure will always go to low pressure. It's a law of nature. Your sky vacuum defies that law of nature, and the description of the variation of gas pressure, which must be under containment to form a gradation of the pressure, yeah, that's described with respect to surface level, proving a flat Earth is measured to describe the elevation of the gradiated pressure that requires containment. So you telling me that it's just my belief? No, it's not. It's a law of nature.
Yeah,
I
it's a
told you
religious
6
belief,
times.
But I'm done here. I'm done here.
I know you're done. You've been smashed. You think you need to reiterate that after being absolutely annihilated and denying the second law of thermodynamics, telling me that I've not overcome your argument because you've got an argument from ignorance, and then telling me that the second law of thermodynamics I put to you 6 times was just my belief. It's pathetic. Yeah, I know you're done. Bugger off. Next.
That's just brilliant, isn't it? The complete obliviousness to how weak his position is, how much he's just embarrassed himself. Or just the sheer gall to try and walk out of the room by proclaiming that. Thank you very much. I've been here all week, yeah? You're a joke, pal.
Yeah, but
You've just showed yourself you've got no idea. No idea on natural law, and no idea how your fundy religious readings you've been giving us, how it contradicts that natural law.
Although Adam's rough, can you now hear him?
Right.
Barely.
But
Yeah,
you can
not real
better
well,
than it
Nathan.
was, right?
Yes.
Good. I'll figure it out to a better extent later, but I just turned off echo cancellation and it seems to have solved some of the problems that I used to have with Brian. When you've got a crap line, it sees it as echo and tries to cancel out half of what you're saying. I don't think that should be a problem anymore. I'll refine it later. At this point, right, what I'm going to do... Just one sec, refracted. No, you go ahead, because I'm going to be rounding out. Go ahead.
Right. If you have a belief that you live on a ball, and that's why you need to assert that there's this space that gas is not filling, that's one thing. That's a violation of natural law. But when you want to assert that a gradation of pressure from a horizontal plane of reference, that is surface level, is somehow contradicting natural law, that's to throw the reason for claiming it to begin with out the window. It's a red herring to the point, but not only that, you're burning your globe to assert it. It doesn't make sense.
Makes sense to me. An isolated system.
Okay, right. We are going to hang around in this Discord server, but if you are watching this on either Nathan Oakley 1980 or Nathan Oakley Premiering streams, stay tuned, as there will be an after show to follow.
Most of them do, John. You know that.
Do what?
Throughout their religion.
Nathan, where do meteors come from?
Yeah.
Meteors? I've never seen one. Yeah. I've never seen one. You ever seen a rock?
Oh, you deny that they exist?
Do
you deny they exist?
I'm asking you a question. Have you ever seen a rock come from the sky?
I've seen videos of rocks coming from the sky.
Is that a no?
I've also seen meteor showers.
And you went and got rocks from that.
I guess so. Then the answer.
I'm just asking
oh,
the
no,
question.
Did I go,
obviously, I've got a response, so that's intolerable. So you haven't verified.
I didn't get the rock.
No, it's not going to be tolerated. Back and forth not allowed, right? Just you, yeah? Okay, carry on. I'm obviously not allowed to talk to you. Now, do you want to be a dick about this, or do you want to talk to me? Which is it?
you asked me a question, there's a delay. Sorry, sometimes it comes across as an interruption.
Doesn't seem like there's a delay to me. Meanwhile, I'm asking you if you've verified that rocks come from the sky or not.
No, I didn't personally verify it. I trust certain people.
So thank you for asking me whether or not I can justify your faith in this shit.
So you deny the videos that show
Sorry,
meteors?
you're going to ask me if I deny what I see on TV? Is that what you're about to ask me? I'll just clarify my position again for you. I have not seen rocks come from the sky. You have not seen or verified that rocks come from the sky. Now, given that is the case and the basis of your question, I'm going to throw it open to everybody here and say, has anybody witnessed a rock meet the ground and then picked it up? Has anybody done that here?
Negative.
Even if it did, how could
Okay,
it be something
so you
falling down?
deny that meteors
Duncan. No,
No, you never said
Duncan,
he denied
excuse
it.
me,
You said
Duncan.
he never
Duncan,
seen
you're not
it,
in
bro.
charge. I am. Duncan. No. You see, you're now going to ask me a question based on your faith, and I don't care.
I'm just, it's a very basic question. You could say yes or no. Are meteors a thing? Yes or no?
What part of my answer that I already gave
accept
didn't
that
you
rocks-
understand? I don't know if what you have faith in is true or not, because both I and you have not validated that to be the case. Neither of us can say it's true.
But what we can say is, how does rocks falling down from the sky, with respect to a horizontal plane of reference, have anything to do with living on a sphere?
I don't know.
Well, is this rock going through a container? Like, is it breaking the container? Is it falling from the container?
Sorry, are we getting into the rocks in your faith? Your faith in these rocks and what faith in these rocks do? No, I'm not going to do that. This is purely hypothetical.
He asked me, "What does this have to do with the
but I'm
sphere?"
not-
A rock breaking through your container would, I think, affect your whole model of, this whole air pressure thing.
Okay, go ahead, John.
Pardon me. No, that's a red herring. Because you're floating down, things falling down, which is with respect to a horizontal plane of reference, not a sphere, is going to prove what again?
Yeah, you're done, mate.
No, I'm not done. This is referring to if this rock is going through your container.
Guys, just chill. He keeps telling us about this hypothetical
I'm relating
rock
two
that he
different
doesn't know if
subjects.
it's-
Yeah,
Okay, I'm just summarizing.
I know.
Duncan.
It's no, that's okay. I don't need you to summarize. See,
Couldn't give a shit. For my audience, this rock is hypothetical. It doesn't matter what he thinks this rock does.
if you have a model where you have this necessary container
Don't live
for
on a
this air
model.
pressure, and then you also have these things that are meteors, if they are breaking through this container that's holding in all your air pressure, then you have a problem in your model.
If there were these rocks, they could hypothetically cause a problem for me if we've got rocks that are coming from a dome you've decided to straw man us with. Okay, I didn't make that claim, and I don't know that there are rocks. Is this not
I
sinking
didn't
in?
say anything about a dome. I just said container.
Yeah, but your
Duncan, you're
description
just- all you're
requires
doing
on
is
Earth
debunking
being
your own
flat to
version.
make it, and you are in a flat Earth debate forum as a heliocentrist, are you not? You believe Earth's a sphere.
Well, he just
Why are you
invoked a
saying
dome.
up and down?
I didn't say anything at dome.
Duncan, all you're doing is you're disproving your own version of flat Earth. What you think it is, where you think the containment is, what you think may be in the sky above us. You want to debate your own personal model of what you believe flat Earth could be with a rock falling from the sky that can't be verified. Yeah, it's pretty silly, man.
From
So
outside.
steel man your model with
with the container. Steelman your model with the container.
No. Your idea is that there's a container with an area outside of the container rocks come from. Nobody here other than you is claiming that, right? Now, I've tried to...
I didn't claim that.
And as you're interrupting me. I've tried to point out to you what rocks. You won't have it. But these hypothetical rocks are now coming from outside of a container. Why? What rocks? Why outside of a... Why? None of this makes any sense. It's just your straw man position of what you say would happen on our model. Oh, really? So, according to you, I suggest there's rocks coming from outside of a container that are going to smash through it. No. What rocks? You haven't proven there are any. And if you did, would it prove they came from outside of your straw man you're saying we should be claiming? Definitely not. Doesn't prove anything. And if you did describe these rocks, if they existed, while you interrupt me and summarise the position, getting pummeled obviously requires constant interruption from the fundy zealot who's having his argument placed back to him in the negative. That's what I'm doing. Taking it apart piece by piece. But you won't accept it, right, Duncan? It's going to be like the other 5 assholes? It's going to be that asshole, right? Keep talking through me while I'm summarising your failure. You don't like it. Your failures...
Well, you're not summarising now. You're doing a very poor job of summarising it.
So, in your straw man position, rocks come from outside of the containment smashing through it when nobody's claimed that. Nobody's claiming rocks. That's your assertion. You haven't validated it. I've already demonstrated that to you. When you describe them coming from a sky outside of the containment, I don't know why we've got rocks outside of containment. I don't know who's claiming that. Oh, it's you and your straw man. Poor job of explaining it much? No, I mean, I didn't ever claim that there'd be rocks arriving, and I definitely, getting interrupted because I'm not doing a good job? Or is it because I'm spanking your ass with your stupid, shitty claim that I'm taking apart at its grassroots fundamental failures to be our claim that you say we make? Therefore, straw man, that you object to me summarising. So what, it's not good summary? Yeah, it is.
Yes,
it's a summary of your straw man that's constantly getting interrupted by fundies. Because you don't like your shitty straw men that you say we must claim being taken apart for the straw men that they are, piece by piece, undoing that straw man, not allowing it to be burned. You want to chant through that? I know, I've done this for a long time, Duncan. Meanwhile, we're not claiming there's an outside area for rocks to come to. I don't even know if there are rocks coming to us. That's just your straw man.
So I haven't come up... So I haven't come up with a model straw man for it to be a straw man.
You're presenting a model.
No, I haven't. No, I haven't. No, I haven't. So if you want to have the rocks inside the container, that's fine. But
they're not our rocks. If I want to have them, like it's my bloody claim, I don't want anything. This is your straw man building. Now you're telling me, what if I want the rocks? If I want rocks to do something in a claim I'm making, Sunshine, I'll do it. You'll know about it because I'll use your bloody name and I'll tell you about the rocks I am claiming. But what if you say, if you want the rocks to be doing what I need in my straw man? No, mate, I don't need you to tell me what I need. Your claim of what your rocks will be doing. I don't need that. That's you building a straw man, and you cannot bear for me to take apart your fallacy at its roots. You telling me what I need rocks to be doing. I'm not making any claims about rocks, you stupid boy. Is this not sinking in? They're your claim of what you say your rocks would do in our model you say we have. Now, if I can't break down a straw man any better, I don't know what I can do here. If you don't understand, it's time to get lost because you don't understand me in a very calm manner, taking apart your flaw in logic. That's a straw man fallacy. Because we don't claim that.
A straw man would be if I asserted how your model worked. I haven't. I simply asked.
Like telling me where rocks will come from in my model as you describe it. So in the same way as you're saying, I'd be describing how your model works if I was using a straw man. For example, where rocks would come from, what they would smash through. Yeah, that's you and your straw man, you stupid idiot.
Well, there's also a false dichotomy built into that as well, because by assuming we have a model, he does. So his model is a spherical surface? Is it? Really? Because you just said the word down. I'm pretty sure what you believe is your model is actually a celestial sphere model with a flat plane bisecting it.
Duncan, you
Again,
don't have
I cannot be straw manning you if I'm not asserting how your model works. So I'm not straw.
So when you tell me how rocks would smash through domes, that's not you telling me how my model works. Oh, okay.
So
So that is absolutely you telling us how your strawman version of what you say our model works when you say rocks would smash through the containment. That's you strawmanning us, you dumb globe-believing zealot. Strawmanning us is what you're doing, son. When you tell me that rocks would smash through what you say our model is, that's you strawmanning us. Do you understand?
No.
No, I couldn't possibly be getting my ass spanked by a flat earther with him pointing out my fallacy use of straw men that I build when I say rocks would smash through a dome, and then simultaneously say it can't be a straw man because I'd be telling you how your model works. What, like when you tell us how rocks would smash through it, and then chant through me pointing that out, like the zealot you are, chanting, like that's going to overcome me pointing out your straw man again?
Don't understand how I'm not strawmanning you if I'm giving you.
No, I do understand. When you tell me how rocks smack their way through, that is you using a straw man.
I'm not, because I'm giving you both options.
Oh, you're giving me a false dichotomy like John's constantly chanting through me to tell. Yeah, I know you're also stacking it up in false dichotomy. John also pointed that out to you. But like now, you're chanting through it. Like somehow not listening to it will mean it hasn't been put to you. If you don't stop chanting
you either
through
want
me
to
replying...
deny meteors are a thing or explain
Moderators,
it.
please can you remove him? I'm done. Remove him. Don't want to talk to Duncan anymore. I don't want to have to server mute Discord because then I can't hear the moderators if they're appealing to me. Right? He's not listening. He's resorted to the base level of the most idiotic globe believers we discussed this with. The moment you point out their fallacy, in this case a straw man, he said, I wouldn't be using a straw man. If I was, I'd be describing how your model works for you. Like how he described how our model would work for us with rocks smashing through containment. It is the textbook definition of a straw man. He just doesn't like that. He's used a shit argument and then had his ass spanked by flat earthers. So what? The solution to that is to never stop talking. These idiot globe believers have got very little in the way of a natural defence to a rebuttal when they put a straw man false dichotomy. No, you failed. Get lost. Right, 5 more minutes and we're going to be disappearing from this server.
It's a tactic, Nathan, that they try to get you to bite onto where they can then take you down their fantasy la la land of where they would have came from. And then he has his own ideas that he wants you to prove how they can exist in his paradigm. But he doesn't get that. You just weren't going to bite.
Doesn't have the rocks to begin with.
Right. Right.
Yo, Nathan, I have a question, bro.
Shoot.
I thought I could go.
No, Brenda, the last time you came, you lied about what thermodynamic laws described. You said there wasn't a law and that it wasn't anything to do with gas, making you a lying shit, who I never want to speak to again. I mean, I can say that now because it happened in this server. Previously in my server, you told me my kids should be removed from me, so I banned you from my server. But now, given that people here have experienced you lying about what thermodynamics had to offer when it came to gas descriptions, you denied that it had anything to do with gas. I then had to dig out a video to prove you wrong with 3 examples from 3 universities, categorically demonstrating you to be a lying shit, who I never ever want to speak to again, because I don't like interacting with lying shits like you. So if it's possible, I mean, obviously, you know, I'm not laying down my weight or anything, but I just don't want to talk to that person because they're a lying shit, as been demonstrated here last time I came.
And I will say, last week I also gave citations on gas pressure and entropy of gases.
Yeah. So Brenda, you wasted not only my audience's time and my time. You were wasting the time of the moderators who had to correct your lies that, you know, slowed things down. The deceit that you put into the conversation last time slowed things down, and lots of people had to correct you. Mods had to go and get citations for you to correct your lies. Now we all, my panel, I speak for them, despise you slightly more than we did already. You think I want to talk to you? No, definitely not. I'd rather never interact with you ever again because I see you as quite a despicable scumbag liar. Hope that's clear.
Transit Like Nuggets had a question for you.
Got like 5 minutes.
Yo. I'm new to this server, and I'm kind of new to the flat Earth. I was just asking, and it seems like you have extensive knowledge on this. Like, where should I go to kind of understand it more? Because I kind of have my skepticism of the Earth being round anyway. I don't, in my mind, I've just been told my whole life, oh, the Earth is round, the Earth is round. So, like,
Fantastic.
where should I look to kind of understand the principles?
Perfect. What a wonderful question to round out my time here with. Before I answer you, I want to thank the moderators for having me. You've been fantastic as always. And of course, thank you everybody else who's taken part in the discussion. As much as it may seem like I'm in righteous indignation when I deal with you, I'm extremely grateful that you took part. And thank you. What was your name, the guy that just asked that question?
Transit likes nuggets.
Can I call you Nuggets?
Yeah, nuggets, whatever you want, bro.
Okay, great. You give me the ideal segue to round out my show on. Perfect. So, you've got a doubt in the globe, and you want to know, where do I go next if I just want to know that it's flat? Yeah?
Correct.
Right. Latitude measurement. Our navigation system, be it claimed to be spherical, is all using latitude. And we're about longitude for now. Latitude. Latitude is a measurement of a flat Earth. It's an angle measurement to Polaris. I'm going to try and break it down in 2 minutes. If you were standing below Polaris, you would be at its GP. Its ground position, that's the position below it on the ground. So you're standing below it. As you back away from Polaris, yeah? If you backed away 60 nautical miles, you would see Polaris drop 1 degree towards the horizon. So instead of it being above your head, it's now 1 degree from vertical. Does that make sense? You with me so far?
Yeah, I'm with you.
Okay. What you've just done is measured from your position 60 nautical miles away from Polaris on the ground completely flat. Now, every time you back away from Polaris, you're drawing out every 60 nautical miles a circle. Each circle is your latitude lines. That's how they are measured. You with me so far?
Yes.
Latitude is the origin of all measurements when it comes to mapping. All mapping is referencing a flat Earth angle measurement to Polaris for latitude. That is Earth measured flat for every claim about Earth's surface that will come afterwards. Doesn't matter if you claim it's a dodecahedron, a concave surface, doesn't matter what you claim thereafter. It is measured flat for latitude. And that's the basis of the system we use for navigation in all respects. Hope that helps.
Yes, that makes a lot of sense. I see what you're saying.
Perfect. With that, I'm going to say again another massive thank you to the Politics 24, not 24/7, is it? Just called Politics. Politics Flat Earth server. Is that right? Flat Earth Politics. What are we in? No, it is 24/7. I just say that right so that people can find the server correctly. The server name is Politics, and this particular room in the Politics server is called the 24/7 Flat Earth bit of the Politics server. So massive thank you to them again. And of course, another massive thank you to my panel for making today's after show possible. Of course, a massive thank you to all of you for liking, commenting, sharing, subscribing, joining as a Nathan Oakley 1980 channel member, hitting me up on Ko-Fi and PayPal and all that good stuff. I've been Nathan Oakley, and I will see you all in the next video.